Good evening, everyone. Welcome to round 4 of the Octane Online Racing Simrigs Sprint Series here at Snetterton for Split Yellow and Split Green. My name is Alexis Bowen, and joining me tonight is Tim Lawson, and we have the return of Sean Muller after a week out from the commentary box. How are we, gentlemen?
I am well, Alexis. Good to be back. Very excited for tonight's race. What an interesting track this one is. I've got some good facts about this one, but looking forward to some fast and furious OOR Simrigs.com sprint action.
Good evening, Sean and Alexis. Great to be back. This is my second night in the booth, so please be kind to me. I will take the lead from you guys, and hopefully I'll bring a little bit of an interesting twist to this conversation as well.
Thank you very much. It is wonderful to have you two here in the commentary booth, and yes, Snetterton, very interesting track. Not one that I'm overly familiar with, but I have sort of had a look to see what we're in store for, and we could have a very interesting race tonight. We do have our sprint format tonight, which means we'll have a qualifying followed by a 1 hour race with one mandatory pit stop.
Definitely looking forward to that. Looks like the weather is looking good at the moment, but we will see when it ticks over to qualifying. Of course, this is a British race circuit. As all British race circuits, it is built on an old airfield. I know, everyone acts surprised. But yeah, it's really classic style circuit. It looks deceptively easy on paper, but when you actually get out on track, it is very tricky. It's narrow, it's bumpy. It's got a lot of those real classic British traits to it.
Yes, it is certainly a deceiving old track indeed, and it will certainly provide a lot of challenge for our drivers tonight. Interestingly, I believe we are missing our split yellow leader, Philippa Bakita, from tonight.
That is correct. Philippa is having a night off, so that sort of will help these guys catch up on the championship at the moment. Philippa does have a very demanding lead at the moment. I will just grabbing the points up now.
All good, but we are looking now at Regan Herbert, who is the first out on track in the beautiful Vaporwave Audi. So we are going through a very complex section of this track where it's all very condensed in with where the track is compared to, well, the rest of the track, I should say.
And we had a quick look at the times from early practice, and the Audi was fastest on track, although I believe it was Joshua Morgan who did a 146 flat in practice.
That is fine. I have seen low 45s from people, namely one B. Hignett in that 471 Mercedes. He's watching him in practice, same as Herbert as well. I mean, both benchmark operators. So will we see a 44? That's the big question.
I'd say we could get very, very close to a 44. I have heard tales of 44s throughout the week, but it's one thing setting a 44, it's another actually doing it in a qualifying session. But we do have 15 minutes, and as Ravenous Aardvark has said in chat, it is very, very sunny right now.
So that normally means that tomorrow night's Split Brew race will be wet. Here's this really long Coram corner, super tricky. There you go. There's a really great overview of Snetterton. I've butchered that pronunciation already. Classic Sean. As you can see, though, just from the overview, it looks deceptively easy. But boy, oh boy, when you get out on track, it is tricky.
Oh, yeah. You can certainly have a lot of challenge through some of these corners just because of how long and winding they feel. And especially towards the end of the lap where you have that super, super long right-hander going straight into a sharp left-hander. That is super, super difficult to actually get right.
Of course, this opened in 1953. It is owned by Jonathan Palmer's Motorsport Division. Of course, they own Alton Park as well. So it does have a lot of those. It does have a lot of similar traits to Alton Park. Bumpy, very narrow. But I'm actually slowly warming to it.
The biggest challenge with this circuit is the combination of canvas and pitches in the road. The Aliens have done a few track maps for this and a few track guides, and the secret is to rotate the car using the brake bias coming into the corner to get the back to step out, settling the car by the apex and then hard on the accelerator coming out. But it is solely down to the ability and the skill of the driver and the setup that they choose to take.
We did see the angry tree there from our drone cam. Of course, a very famous tree. I do believe, though, it's not there anymore.
Oh, you're telling me they... But,
Apparently a storm. It got damaged in a storm, so that's sad.
So the angry tree's disappearance has surely made quite a few people angry, but Regan Herbert sets a 45.7 to get us underway for this qualifying session. That is a solid first lap there from Regan.
Now into this let's go across this Brundle and Nelson section. One of the trickiest braking zones actually in the world of motorsport. Tricky, bumpy, narrow. Yeah. And a sausage curb that will launch you into the stratosphere if you hit it wrong.
What is a British track without a good old sausage curb?
Ooh, good question.
Pretty much all the British racetracks need a sausage curb somewhere along the line to launch you into the stratosphere. But right now, Regan Herbert is still on top with that 45.7, but closely followed by Mitch Hobbs by less than a tenth of a second. Benny Hignett is 5/10 back from Herbert, and Hamilton not too far back from that, with Glover rounding out your top 5. Interesting to note, Sasha Death has been promoted to Pro after their wonderful performance last week at Mazzano, and they currently sit in P7 as Connor Hine just moves himself up into the top 5.
So with qualifying going on, we'll just quickly run through some points. So it is Philippa Bakita leading the way with 450 points. Mitch Hobbs there in second on 297. Regan Herbert in third on 287. Sasha Death in fourth position. Well done, 270 points. Jeremy Talbot on 230. They are the top 5 for Pro. In Pro-Am, it is Simon Scanlon with 114, Jesse McLean with 97, Chris Taylor there on 87 points. Dylan Turquin in fourth position, and Paul Creditch there in fifth. And Am, it is Mike Crick leading the way from George Sanakis and Jared Richardson. There is Mike Crick at the moment with that beautiful TVK McLaren. I absolutely love that thing.
Yeah, it's one of the better liveries on the track right now. I mean, there's a lot of great liveries out there. This is Jesse McLean just starting his lap now. He's currently in P12. Johnston behind is getting towards the end of his. He is a long way up on his previous best. 1.5 seconds.
In the McLaren, really struggles around here, the McLaren. He does not like this place at all.
While we'll be watching that, Hobbs has now set the benchmark with a 145.4. The Honda is clearly the car to catch at this stage.
Yes, Hobbsy quick as ever as we see Johnson cross the line, move up in the P12 with that improved time, with a 47 flat. He'll still have time to improve on it. We haven't quite reached the halfway point. Here is Liam Hamilton, who's currently sitting in P4. I believe Liam's also been promoted to Pro.
That is correct. So a few moves. Of course, we have a couple of rounds and then classes do get resorted. It's great to see these guys get the promotion they deserve.
100%. They are well and truly deserving of the Pro class. But right now, it is, yes, Hobbsy out in front from Regan Herbert, Ben Hignett, Liam Hamilton, and Connor Hind. So 3 Mercedes in the top 5. The Mercedes showing a bit of pace around here.
And it's going to be qualifying times that will certainly set the benchmark here. There is not a lot of opportunities to overtake on this track, a typical UK track. And also the width of this track has also been a bit of a conversation. 2 car wide is about as comfortable as you would like to be. We do not want to see 3 cars wide into turn 1.
Hold my beer.
I might be wrong on this, but has Austin McNeil also been promoted to Pro? Yes,
yep,
we are getting confirmation of that. So we have a few from Pro-Am being promoted to Pro. That is wonderful to see.
I think this split's probably the most mixed in terms of Pro-Ams, Pro and Ams. It's got a really nice balance. A couple of the other splits are a bit heavy Pro-wise, a couple of others a bit heavy Pro-wise, Pro-Am-wise, sorry. So, but split yellow, always one of the best splits to call, definitely. I love it. That corner is the trickiest on the track by far, Williams. Oh, it just feels like ice every time we go around there. We are on board with Talbot at the moment. He's heading down the long Bentley straight. Now we're coming into Brundle and Nelson. Really tricky. Got to clip that inside curve, but not too much. Whoa, way out over. That is very easy to do.
And another interesting point there while watching that, coming down Bentley Straight, you need to stay to the left on the right-hand side of the track. It is quite dirty and it is easy to pick up some muck on your tyres and upset the car coming into the braking for Brundle under the bridge.
That braking is also very difficult because you're having to pretty much turn while you're braking, which is never a good thing for the stability of your car. That too is also a very tricky braking point because you are also, you know, so it is, as you were saying, deceptively difficult track to get right as Glover moves up in the P5 with that time of 46.2. Well done.
Huge respect to Glover here, actually hustling that Porsche around here. Kudos, my friend. Oops, Crick's off in the grass. Luke Marvel in that beautiful, interesting looking Aston, one of my absolute favourites. He actually has a bit of an Easter egg on the rear wing. I saw that in the Discord during the week. I had a bit of a chuckle to myself. There we go.
Yeah. Not good enough to drive the Porsche yet. Good one. But I will say, while it is one of the more out there liveries, it works. Like, it works surprisingly well. Sure, it looks like a 5th grade art project, but I think that works quite well for an Aston Martin, given most of the time Aston Martins are 5th grade art projects.
Reminds me actually of the old BMW Le Mans art cars.
Yeah, it sort of does, doesn't it? Skittles car. I think that's a fair assessment from Race Control.
It is. Fruit Tingles are better, but we won't get into that.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we are here with Benjamin Hicknett, who is currently on a lap that is 4 tenths up on his previous best. Has lost a bit on the exit there, but if he's able to just get a little bit more out of the lap, he can move his way into P1. Really hustling this Mercedes around.
Oh, he's there, tricky corner now. Williams, really important corner. You can just see a little oversteer on the exit, actually backs it in motocross style. Runs out to the curb, the Merc can do that.
Look to be both understeer and oversteer at the same time.
Seems to be the balance of a lot of cars around here.
Also the balance of the also the balance of the 2014 Ferrari F1 car, as we see. Yeah, he's gained a bit of time, but he's just run it wide there.
Yeah, a little bit narrow coming through the bomb hole there. You wanted to just pick up that concrete ripple strip on the inside. Otherwise, you get too deep, it unsettles the car on that big dive down the inside.
This looks like, though, it's definitely going to be quicker. Does it move him up? It does, up to second. Good lap there from Hignett.
Yeah, nicely done, but he still won't be completely pleased with that lap. He did lose a fair bit of time throughout the lap, but that is a given around here.
Talbot, 0.3 up on his lap, so this, if you can keep this going, this will definitely move him up the leaderboard. Yeah, it's just got to get through here, though. Really tricky. We did see him earlier back at it, and he got through there very nicely. Now into the bomb hole. Bump. And then he just drifted out a little. Oh, that's very wide there, but he held on to it. Good car control. Now through this long column corner, just loads the outside tyre so much. And you got to brake very hard for Murray's. Don't hit that sausage. Use the grass creek right on the exit.
Got a very solid exit there. He's 4 tenths up. This will move him up a few positions now. Goes from P8 up to P4. Well done. 46.1.
Fantastic lap.
Here is Regan Herbert, who is about just over a tenth up on his previous best. He is looking to assert himself at the top as he just gets into the grass.
See the wheel work there. Holy moly.
That little misfortune has cost him a bit of time. Does he gain that on the exit here? Yes, he sort of has, but he's pretty much equal with his best split last time, so it's going to be a tough ask from here. So I'm just noting that Glover has gone up in the P4, so Glover really pushing that Porsche to its limits. Not quite into the 45s. I think if my maths is right, that would be a 46.002 that Glover's gotten. Still very nice time from Glover there in the Porsche. We look at Herbert, who is not going to find any improvement on this lap, unfortunately, but still has the opportunity for one last blast, as Hignet's gotten even close to Hobbsy's time. Now only 200ths off. This is going to be really tight to the end.
He's on a final fly here. It looks like as well. Can he find just that little bit extra? That looked a little understeery there.
He just got a touch wide. That time he just pushed into the corner a bit too hard. But we'll see whether he's able to find it. He gets the oversteer on the exit. Will that cost him a bit of time? He's currently a 10th down on his previous best. Does get a little bit of a slipstream from the McLaren.
Gonna have to be pretty brave through here to try and find his time.
He's gotten a lot of oversteer on the exit and even gets out on the grass. I think this lap's pretty much donezo's for Hignet.
You can just see those curbs though. As soon as you get a little bit off them, it just sucks the rear end in and just costs us so much time. It triggers the traction control. It's a bit of a nightmare. Jeez, he's keeping the boot in though.
Yeah, it's not going to be enough though. He's lost a lot on this exit. So Hignet will have to settle for at least P2. He'll still be happy with that, but he knows that he had more in it.
But here we are with Regan Herbert. He's on an absolute fly here. He's 0.2 up, which would put him on pole. So can he keep this going through the really long corner? Can he get a break to turn in for Murray's? Beautiful through Murray's. This is going to be a storming lap from Regan Herbert. Can he hold on? Oh, it's going to be very close. He's losing a little 10th here, a 10th there. He does, straight to the top, a 45.3. Great lap from Regan Herbert. Clutch lap if you've ever seen one.
Yeah, great lap at the end there from Regan Herbert to go just a little under a 10th ahead of both Hobbs and Hignet. Well done, Regan Herbert. So it's a Hake 1, 2, 3. Herbert, Hobbs, and Hignet.
Well, hey. Here's Ashley Johnson, completing his currently in 11th. I tell you what, to get a McLaren up that high, well done. I'm going to give him a high five, virtual high five.
Yeah, if the McLaren is as bad as you're saying around here, then I'd say P11 is a solid effort. He's still pushing on with this.
Could move him up here.
So he's currently in P11, would need to find at least 0.3 of a second to move up into the top 10. But he doesn't find it, so he'll have to stick with P11. But Regan Herbert takes a beautiful pole position, followed by Mitch Hobbs, Ben Hignet, Sean Glover, Jeremy Talbot, Liam Hamilton, Sasha Death, Connor Hind, Austin McNeil, and Chris Taylor, the top 10.
And the other interesting point here is 5 manufacturers in the top 5.
You love to see it.
So you are watching the OOR Simrigs.com Sprint Series round 4 from Snetterton. Split yellow tonight, then followed by split green. Big thank you to our fantastic sponsors at Simrigs.com for all your sim racing needs. And if you are an OOR Patreon, you get 5% discount. How exciting is that?
Very, very exciting. Yeah, Simrigs are fantastic. And yeah, all of your needs are settled with Simrigs, no matter what you need. Provided it's within sim racing, of course.
We're watching Hobbs off the line here. Hopefully he won't miss the gear like he did last week. Put him back in the pack and made him work for his position. He finally managed to gauge a second out of last week's race, but he will certainly want to be getting off the line cleanly this week.
Certainly, it caused a few issues for him last week, but in the end he was still able to fight back. Given that there's no Bakita tonight, he'll definitely want to try and capitalise on this start to make sure that he can push on, but I think we're in for a very, very good race here at Snetterton.
I think tonight's keyword is 100% patience.
Yes. If you don't have patience, you're going to cause a collision, you're going to get a penalty. That's pretty much it. But getting news in that one of the rookies races last night had no penalties at all, so big pressure on Split Yellow and the rest of the sprint drivers as well.
As you can see, though, the reason it's such a popular circuit to go spectate, there's great viewing angles everywhere. There's the hill. We know what they'll be up to midway through the race.
You can see a lot of the track from that vantage point. That's insane. I guess that's sort of the perks you get when you're driving on an airfield that has restricted space to work with for the actual track itself.
I mean, what British circuit is it an airfield, really? Oh, that's right. The greatest British circuit, Brands Hatch. There we go.
Yeah. I'm not sure we'd count it as British or very good, but is Knock Hill on a...
Oh, good question. I don't believe Knock Hill is either. Pretty sure it's not. I'm sure someone in chat will jump in and give us the info. Safety car is rolling now, so we are about to get this race underway. Of course, the beautiful Simrigs.com M2 CS safety car.
I reckon we could have a bit of chaos going into turn one, given how long the first corner is and how, well, also the long run to the first corner itself. But you also have this very, very heavy braking zone into this tight hairpin that will cause a bit of grief for the drivers, I reckon.
Yeah, that was sort of my prediction. I think most of the drivers will get through. Richie's fine. Richie's? But into Montreal, it's going to be a bit of a tricky one. And this is Snetterton's first ever official OOR League race. How exciting is that?
Well, I mean, it's Snetterton, so can't be that exciting.
Oh, no, now come on.
I'll be saying the guys may be looking down through Agostini, where we are coming through now, trying to late break, come down through the left-hander and get the game back through Hamilton. It's a ballsy move, but if they can pull it off, it will certainly be rewarding.
Definitely setting your moves up early here is going to be key. And back to my original point, patience is one of those tracks where I think just sitting behind someone, keeping the pressure on, force a mistake. Ooh, that Coca-Cola restaurant is fantastic.
Track limits are also have to be mentioned here. They are tight. There is not much room to go offside the ripple strip.
Yeah, drivers will need to take very much extra care as they wind their way around this track for an hour. But we will see whether everyone can keep it clean, or we'll see drive-through penalties appear like they did last week. But the drivers are starting to enter into double file now, so we will be awaiting the green light to get this race underway.
So lining up double file. Round 4. OOR Simrigs.com Sprint Series action. Split Yellow from the Asia Pacific region from Snetterton. Looking forward to this one. If you are in that sort of top 10 championship fight, this could be a track where you can make up some big points. With our championship leader, Philippa Bakita, missing this round. Pressure is on. Regan Herbert now takes control of the field. Hobbs there in second. Hignett, Glover, Talbot, all your big players up the front. So now just settling yourself in and making sure you get yourself set up for turn 1 and turn 2. And we are underway and we are racing. So head off now down towards Richie, side by side. Herbert and Hobbs. Sorry, Herbert and Hobbs. And slight touch there from Higdon on Hobbs. He held on to it. I don't know how he did that. Great little bit of car control, but that has let Herbert absolutely sail away. Now, this is all very tight. They're going to go 3 wide action here. Everyone seems to get through really well. Glover's made an absolute storming start here as well. Great move in the Porsche. Settle into a rhythm.
I think we've gone through those first few corners without any incidents, as we now see, there's the yellow flags at the back. So we have a few cars at the back there that are caught up in a bit of grief.
Well, you cursed that pretty quick.
Yep.
And again, coming into Agostini, the yellow markers are out.
Ashley Johnson just gets pushed a bit wide. Dives deep up the inside. That's too deep. We'll have to be careful rejoining there. Bit of frustration for Ashley Johnston.
Of course, redrawings will be looked at quite severely, being the fact that it's quite a tricky track to rejoin on, so keep an eye on that. He's right in the toe here, though.
Got to go around the outside.
Oh, this is
Not
brave.
going to be easy. Oh, he's tried to hold it in there, but has to back out of it. Out front it is Regan Herbert, who has gotten away to an absolute fly-up. 7/10 head of Hobbs from Hignett, Talbot, Hamilton, Death, McNeil, Hind, Glover and Herod. Glover's dropped down the order a fair bit after a good start.
Might have had a bit of Porsche things. So we're on board here with Chris Taylor at the moment, currently chasing Herod. This is 10th and 11th.
Like Taylor's just having to defend the inside from Price, who was going around the outside, if you don't mind, at turn 1. This is for your Pro-Am lead. Who breaks the latest? Oh, that is really late from Taylor, and that has allowed Price through. So Price moves up in the P11 and your Pro-Am lead.
That was a fantastic move there from Price. That was the patience move. Just kept it in the right position, forced the mistake there from Taylor. Great stuff. Fantastic racing.
Brilliant stuff there. Looking on Johnston.
Going down through turn 5, Hamilton. These tyre bundles on the inside, you see, are freestanding. Anyone hits them, they will punch them out of the way, but it won't do damage to the car. So you do not want to be cutting those corners.
It's Connor Hind at the moment, currently in 8th position, chasing McNeil down. He's got Glover there behind him. Still weird seeing Connor Hind in a car number 705.
Yeah, I believe he actually changed that number in case I was going to be rejoining the Sprint Series this year. But I'm sure next season you'll see the infamous number 91 return.
Very smooth behind the wheel at the moment there, so he's working the car too hard. It's great as Hobbs goes quickest at the moment with a 46.2. Nice lap.
Yeah, those two are just stretching away a touch from Hignett, who equally has a little bit of a gap to Talbot behind.
There's actually nothing between our front two at the moment. So Herbert did a 46.255, Hobbs did a 46.227.
Yes, very tight on times. It could really just come down to that mandatory pit stop, which the pit window for that will open in a bit under a minute now.
Not too sure on the strategy here as well. I'm not sure if the overcut will be stronger or the undercut. The traffic though, I think that's going to be the key when you stop as well.
Yeah, traffic 100%, because as we've mentioned, it is very difficult to actually make an overtake around here, so it will all come down to the strategy.
Sean Glover currently down there in 9th position at the moment. As you can see, just working the wheel of that Porsche, left, right, slight little corrections. As you can see down below in camera 2, the battle for the lead is starting to really hot up here. Hobbs is just starting to wind the wick up.
Well, the pit window has been opened as we look on from the rear wing of Matthew Herod, with Price on a bit of a run at the moment.
Just saw Price there, just catch the outside of that curb, but just how much it unsettles the car. You just lose so much time.
Mitch Hobbs has set the fastest lap of a 45.9. The pace is picking up from Hobbs as he is closed in within 5/10 of Regan Herbert.
This actually be good to watch for a little bit, just to see where the Audi's stronger compared to the Honda and vice versa. It's fantastic part of it. That's one of my favourite corners. It reminds me a lot of Surtees at Brands Hatch. Has a similar feel to it. To Agostini. Multiple lines through here. Hamilton. Oh, we can see the Audi just got a little slidey there on the exit.
Attempting to perform Audi things. You can see how much Regan Herbert is pushing the limits of the track right now. Trying to make sure that he can hold off the assault from Hobbsy as we take a look further back. Looks like it could be Mike Crick.
That is.
Oh, that is
no.
clumsy.
Oh dear.
That is very, very clumsy. That will be an invoice.
So we haven't seen the paddle come out yet, but that will definitely be a paddling.
Yes. Unfortunate there for Crick. Just nothing he could do really. But yeah, the car behind will certainly be picking up one big ol' slap on the wrist.
And we've got another replay here. Is this some more sadness? Yes, it is.
That again,
Oh,
clumsy.
very clumsy.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of clumsy, that is Mitch Hobbs. We have just gone back, and Mitch Hobbs has spun around at turn 1.
Oh, he's great car control, not to actually punch it in the wall, but wow, he's going to have to get to work now.
Oh, meanwhile, Riley Price up the inside of Matthew Herod at the hairpin. Herod's trying to hold in there, but it's gonna be tight going into this next corner. It's a left-hander, so Herod will have the inside line, but Price is trying to hold around the outside. This is fantastic racing between these two through this very tricky section. Herod, will he brake late, try and get up the inside? Price tries to hold on, but he's not going to get the move done. Brilliant defending from Matthew Herod.
What an exchange. What an exchange.
That shows you the value of real estate on this track. If you can hold your line and keep the inside, you will be able to maintain your track position.
Herod's very slow out of this corner though. This might invite Price to go up the inside. Wow! This is incredible stuff, and Price has got it done, but the Lexus in the slipstream of the BMW. Will Herod try up the inside again? This is brilliant stuff. Gets it, it's going to be tight, and yeah, Herod's got it back, but he's run slightly deep. Will that allow Price back through? I think for now Herod's got control of it, but this battle will rage on.
What a drive from Herod and Price here. Price is on an absolute charge at the moment as well. Top 10 at the moment. Fantastic drive, but he's not done with this. He's going to really push Herod. Look, he's in the slipstream now.
He got a really nice exit, and now going through turn 1, he's going to have to go around the outside again. He might have to back out of this. He's not got the overlap, so, but all this is going to do is allow him to just get a better run going through into the hairpin. Well, where's Herod defending? Herod's defending the middle of the road. Price is going to try around the outside. Herod defends brilliantly up the inside. So we look further back. This is Mitch Hobbs, who had just spun around before last lap. So unfortunate for Hobbs. He was looking so quick, but it's those little errors that any driver can make that can really affect you. Now he's just got to put his head down and get back to work on this. He's got Jesse McLean in his sights.
Yeah, this is where patience is super important now for Hobbs. He's just got to pick his moves. He knows he's got the pace of a lot of these guys. So it's just now picking his moment and just trying to make up as many spots as he can. As we see, oh, that is a bit of a weird one there.
Yeah, he just got really, really wide. That was strange. Meanwhile, Jared Richardson has received a 15-second penalty for causing collision on lap 1. But out in front, after the spin from Mitch Hobbs, Regan Herbert has been sort of left to his own devices a bit. 4.6-second gap back to Benjamin Hignan in P2. As we look now at Austin McNeil chasing Sasha Death, 2 promotees to the pro class this round, alongside the driver in P4, Liam Hamilton. As Lee Perkins picks up 15 seconds as well for dangerous driving. And we have Joseph Robinson picking up 10 seconds for causing collision on lap 1.
So in terms of pitting, what do you gentlemen think? Oh, what do you think? When would you pit?
Well, we've still got about 48 minutes to go in this one. I'd say you'd probably want to pit around probably about halfway. In this race, as Connor Hine runs just a bit wide, that won't cost him any position. I'd say the earliest you'd want to pit would be about 35 minutes to go. And then, from then on, you can sort of pick your strategies.
The track is quite hard for tyre wear. Those hard left and right handers around here take punishment on both sides of the car. But Hobbs could be one of the ones that will take the gamble, being that he has lost some spaces. Now he will try and find some free air. We could be seeing him pit in the next 7 or 8 minutes.
Well, he's been able to get a move done on Casey McLean, who is in turn now under a lot of pressure from Joshua Morgan and Johnston.
Haven't heard much from Morgan actually. He's been very quiet, just sort of. Yeah, haven't really called his name out much, which is strange. Of course, in that beautiful 2T Racing Audi, one of my absolute favourites. Slowly starting to work on the back of McLean here. Not really gaining a lot though. Just struggling with car balance in the Audi.
I reckon he's just trying to monitor his race as closely as he can, make sure he doesn't fall into the trap of making a slight error, as is so easy around here. But McNeil is right on the back of Sasha Death. This is close stuff.
Two Astons going at it.
Can't just see the Mercedes of Liam Hamilton up in the distance, but these two have to sell their differences first before they have any chance of getting up to him.
Super deep braking. They're like always braking and turning or on a straight this place.
Yeah.
Hobbs looks like he is getting a little bit of understeer in the backwash here behind Taylor. So it could be a little bit challenging for him.
A long race ahead of him, but I reckon if he's able to move his way back into top 8 or so, he'll be happy with his comeback, but still unhappy with the way that he ended up dropping down the field.
It's just an example of how close these guys are driving these cars to the edge to maintain pace on this track. It is very, very challenging by the looks of what we're seeing at the moment.
Oh yes. I reckon a few drivers are just struggling to touch on tyre wear here and there as well.
Well, you can just see by the body English of all the cars, they're bouncing around everywhere. No car looks absolutely settled on rails here.
Everyone looks like they're having to fight with the car just that little bit. McNeil's just gaining slightly in the slipstream of death. Of course, both of these drivers are using the Aston Martin, although McNeil's gone very, very wide. So he's not been able to get the best of exits going into turn 2.
It's actually, it seems they've definitely got strengths and weaknesses, both these, even though in the same car. I feel like through sector. Whoa, we've had a spin. That's Price.
That is Price, and that is Taylor as well. So Price is likely spun around, And yeah, Taylor just hasn't been able to avoid it, I'd assume. Oh, he had to hit the wall to get back straight again, so that is unfortunate for Price, who is doing very well.
Well, that leaves Hobbs a little bit of free air now. He's got 2.7 seconds behind Harrod, so he can get a little march on and try and gain some of that time lost.
Yeah, and at least he's back into the top 10, so you'll still get some decent points out of this, but not as many as he'd hoped for.
I'll have to bring Price into the Sean Flickspin school.
Take a look.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Oh, no.
yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
That's just a bit sad. So, yeah, just a bit of a little bit of a misdemeanor there from Taylor. I have a feeling that could come with a bit of an invoice.
Meanwhile, Regan Herbert's just stretching his lead here. It's out to 6.2. He just dropped in a 45.9 that last lap. So he's class of his own at the moment.
Yeah, there's not really any catching him right now. He's just out there on a rampage.
Hamilton currently in fourth. I have liked him and Talbot's race. I think they're a nice race here. We're back on board with Sean Glover. Look at this pack. This is a great pack. Oh, wow. Connor Hine way out sideways.
Yeah, Hines struggling a bit with the traction of the Mercedes. Glover just braking a bit later, having to go onto the grass to avoid Hine. Manages that well, but I reckon we're in for a very, very heavy battle now, as we have Death and McNeil still fighting it out ahead, but Hind and Glover are closing. Oh, Glover is really pushing this Porsche.
That's not pushing. That's standard Porsche, babe.
Average Porsche things.
And out. In my absolute favourite camera angle.
The scared passenger rider.
That's the one. Through the bomb hole. This corner, it just feels like it never ends. It really does. And it's really tricky braking section here. It's so easy to actually lock the rears a little bit and swing the back end around.
I actually found it easier to drift out coming out of Koran, getting a little bit wider, straightening up my braking line to take the ease off the back of the car and enable the car to settle before I turn back in to the last corner.
I mean, no matter how you take that corner, it's always going to remind me of like those never-ending highway exits that you see. The ones that just go around and around and around and around. Like there's just no end to them.
This battle is... This, I think, will come down to who blinks first when it comes to the stops.
Yeah, there's not really a lot of gain out there on the track right now, so yeah, it will come down to who blinks first.
At Diebold, seems like a bunch of cars are sliding the track, just not grippy, or is it because the sweeping fast corners cooking the tyres? I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a mix of both going on here.
Well, the aliens say the secret to this track is to have a little bit of slide on the rear of the car to rotate the car into the corner and allowing it to grip up to get on the power at the apex to come out of the corner.
Yeah, so just allowing yourself to have a bit of that oversteer to get through the corners, and then just making sure that you can settle it going out onto the exits to maximize your drive.
It is a fine line, though.
Oh, very fine line. It's so easy to get it wrong.
Get it right, you look like a hero. Get it wrong, and you're a D1 national champion.
Yep, it is super easy to get it wrong, but even the best do it. And yes, Chris Taylor has in fact picked up a 15-second penalty for that collision there with Price earlier on. There, that's a pretty fair penalty.
And Herbert commanding at the moment, still 1 second ahead of the fastest lap on track. Still running in the 146s with the nearest rivals still stuck back in the 147s.
Yep, commanding position right now for Regan Herbert, making up for the disappointments of last week.
Joseph. You're just chasing the flank here. You just see that McLaren sliding all the way through there.
He tries to stick the nose up the inside, but he's not keen to make a diving move there. I reckon it's only a matter of time until he gets ahead of Jesse McLean, who is currently Pro-Am leader.
Currently in 12th as well, doing a fan. This is a great drive.
Yeah, doing well. As this has now gotten very, very close between Hind, McNeil, and Deft. They are chasing after Deft, which is an interesting sentence to say.
Oh, we see a very nice pole come up here. So if you had to drive one of these circuits for an hour every day of the year, what are you picking? Snetterton, Alton Park, Donington, or Brandon Tat? Well, I'm voting on that. That's an easy question.
Meanwhile in the race, Connor Hind tries around the outside at turn 1, but can't get anything done there. McNeil holds on nicely. Hind will have to be a bit more patient now. I think that question's a difficult one between Snetterton, Alton, Donington, and Brands.
Just completely disagree with JC in chat. The only correct answer is Brands.
I'm glad Snetterton has only 5% of the vote.
Now, currently there in 6th position. This is turning into absolute ripping battle.
Yeah, lots going on here. You see a few drivers making pit stops now, Taylor and Bracken.
Just saw in the background there, Hyde sideways again.
Oh, look at McNeil on that curb, and now that's opened the door for Hind up the inside. Oh, this is going to be very tight. McNeil holds on.
Geez, that was brave around the outside. Hyde was pretty nice there as well.
Yeah, just doesn't want to get involved in instant. He knows that he needs to be patient around here. Oh, but he's run wide, and that's going to open the door possibly for Glover. Although that Porsche is a brick in a straight line.
Look, considering how sideways Hind has been for the last 3 or 4 laps, I reckon those rears are saying, I've had enough.
Yeah, just maybe. Oh, speaking of had enough, somehow Glover, he keeps it on the track. Oh, he's struggling now, Glover. But I do agree with Chris Murphy in chat. With Suzuka next week, that'll be a much better driving experience, I'd say. I love Suzuka. Brilliant track.
25 minutes into this race, the guys will be starting to experience the pain of the tyre wear that this track hands out to you.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if we start seeing a few more pit stops very, very shortly. Taylor, Bracken, and Crick are currently your only pitters.
Leader out front, Regan Herbert, is still in the 46s, the only driver still in the 46s. This is some drive.
And not only in the 46s, a 46.4 his last lap, thank you very much.
Yep, he could go for as long as he likes in this race, really, provided he pits within the pit window.
Ooh. 100% agree with Chris in chat there. Spoon at Suzuka, one of the dumbest corners in the world.
I'd almost say that it's not just one corner, but like two.
The rest of the track's amazing, but Spoon, oh, get in the bin.
It is a interestingly designed corner. Well, mix of corners, I'd say.
It's actually got quite a bit in common with the corner here, Williams. Just that sort of flattish, weirdish, nothingish corner that is always tricky. Oh, I saw there just up ahead there was that Death that had a real excursion with the grass.
Death flirting with death.
And McNeil followed the car out into the grass as well, so they're running in tandem at the moment.
Look, if you can't cut grass with your mate out on track, well, I mean, what's the point? Back into the rhythm now. Really interesting this. It's almost like I thought Hind would have come in by now, but it's almost like he's waiting for one of these two to blink, and then he might see if he can drop in a quick one. But looking here, McNeil's got a bit of a run on Death, but thinks better of it.
I think Hind's just waiting until he's a bit closer to him before he makes his move. Still has a bit of a gap. It's of about just under a second. But look at McNeil now, really trying to push Death along.
Stay out. This is intriguing.
Yeah, it's a real strategy battle now. Hind stays out there, so too Glover. No one's really blinked yet. Currently, your lead driver to have made a pit stop is Joshua Morgan.
Oh, Death runs a little deep there. That gives me a slight opening, but again, slams the door shut.
Does, however, improve the exit of Death compared to McNeil. These two are practically inseparable at the moment.
Hind's just starting to catch up here a little bit as they break very deep into Agostini. Through Palmer. Oh, again, you can just see this. There's those little moments there that he just catches maybe a half a car length and then just loses a little half a car length. This is really tight racing. Question there. Best circuit not in ACC? Good question.
Phillip Island. I will stand by Phillip Island until I die.
You know what? This will be controversial, but I love the circuit, Macau.
Oh. You're saying that as if it's a bad opinion.
So Hignett, Glover, Hobbs all in the pits now. So our top 10 runners are starting to call it. Looking for fresh tyre and a tough splash of fuel.
So, yeah, front runners are beginning to come in. Be interesting to see how Hobbsy can play around with this strategy this week.
The other key point here, the pit lane is only 246 metres long. It is one of the shortest pit lanes in ACC.
Actually, the pit exit's actually not too bad either, which is weird for ACC because it feels like every pit exit is dead.
Yeah, so it actually comes out on a straight instead of mid-apex on a corner.
Perks of having a long run down to turn 1.
Rodenberg, McNeil here as we follow Death. Looking, these guys will probably be looking at pitting in the next couple of laps.
Yeah, we are now at the halfway mark of this race as we now hit the 30-minute mark. So we should see these drivers start to come in, but they're not separated by much at the moment.
Okay, I'm calling it. If I'm McNeil, I'm coming in this lap.
Yeah, you have to, as Herbert has come in now.
And I'm
Likely in reaction to Benjamin Hignett.
And Chris Heindel was also be considering that in the Merc. He looks like he is struggling. He would be looking for a fresh set of rubber.
Death has come in, so McNeil and Hobbs, sorry, not Hobbs, Hind have stayed out. Meanwhile, Jeremy Talbot is currently your race leader, thanks to the pit stops of Hignett and Herbert.
And Hobbs has the opportunity now, as we saw from last week. A little bit of clean air and fresh tyres. He can make hay here. He may be able to gain a couple of positions before the guys come back out of their pit stop.
It's Paul Cranich. He's had a bit of a quiet race, Cranich, which is good. We always said in the OOR races, if you have a quiet race, you don't get your name called much, you're normally having a good one.
Certainly. It looks like Herbert's come out in a nice bit of space. Still, like, what's that, 18 seconds ahead of Benjamin Hignett. Hignett's lost a bit of time, though. He's only 2.1 ahead of Sasha Death. Or is he? Nope, never mind. It's just the stupid thing.
Kunos features.
Yeah. Love your timing board. Yeah, about, what, 11, 12 seconds? Meanwhile, Hobbs has been able to get a nice undercut there on Sasha Death. So well done to Mitch Hobbs.
Great question there by Rabbits. On Dilio at the moment. He's got a bit of Death all around him, and Death just says, I'll take that. Thank you very much. Oh, Diabol's a man after my own heart. I love Le Mans. If you want to talk history and motorsport history racetracks, Le Mans pretty close to the GOAT.
Yeah, Le Mans certainly up there, provided you're talking about the Circuit del South.
Of course. But the Bugatti circuit, the proper circuit.
No one likes the Bugatti circuit.
Especially not MotoGP riders in the rain.
Ooh. Especially not F1 drivers in the 1960s.
Riding on board with Liam Hamilton at the moment, currently in second position. So, got 5 drivers up the top there that have not stopped yet. Of course, our Pro-Am leader is currently in 5th and still hasn't stopped yet as well.
Yeah, still a few drivers that need to pit. Got the top 5 plus Dilio, Kranich, and Robinson. We see Talbot come in. Hamilton stays out. Hamilton will take the lead of this race for now. McNeil and Hind also continue. I think, yeah, Herbert's got quite the stranglehold over this one.
And Hignett and Hobbs are into the 46s on fresh tyres after coming out from their pit stops, but they do have a considerable margin to make up to catch Herbert.
I think it'll be interesting to see where Talbot comes out in comparison to Hignett. When Talbot starts moving, he is moving now, so this could be very, very close. Hignet's got him. He's got him by a fair distance, actually. Hobbs has a bit of catching to do, but he's in a good position.
He's got the challenge from last week. That Mercedes was a block to him last week. He had the pace on track, but wasn't able to find the pace to actually overtake the Mercedes.
Pretty good recovery from Hobbs so far. He's actually got Talbot inside here as well, so...
Hobbs does have the blinkers on at the moment. A 1:45.9 his last lap.
He's set out there. Hamilton comes in. So McNeil and Hind continue on out there. They are looking for a beefy overcut. Not sure they're going to get it though. Oh, that is wide from Herbert, but he's just been able to get past Jesse McLean actually. So McLean is now behind Herbert, and McLean still needs to make that pit stop.
Looking at Hamilton, we'll see where he pops out. This is going to be extremely close. Talbot might have it. Oh, this is going to be really tight. Does get him, no. Talbot does get him, but Hamilton, a couple of laps fresher tyres could be the difference toward the back end.
So almost a replay of the battle we saw from last week with the two Mercedes and the Honda.
There is, of course, the Aston Martin of Talbot in between the two of them.
And Sasha Death 5 seconds behind, but as we saw from last week, can find pace in the closing laps of the race.
Yeah, can find a lot of pace. Of course, we still have McNeil and Hind that need to come into the pits.
22 minutes to go. Start to get a bit of an idea where everyone's at. Oh, it's Hamilton, major mistake there. And Hobbs goes, thank you, I'll have that.
That's the thing that Hamilton needed right now.
Now, what can Hobbs do here? How far can he move up? That's going to be the story to watch, because he's going to have Talbot in his gun sights.
Yeah, we're right. Well,
oh, look at that car control. Wow-wee.
With McNeil and Hind in the pits, you'd expect Hobbs to move up into P4. So I reckon a podium is still on for him here, which would be a huge result.
And Talbot's just finished his out lap, so he will be struggling still to have full tempo in the tyres and brakes. So it could be a good advantage for Hobbs to still gain another second or so.
There's Hind, and it's come out behind Death. So that has not worked out. And where's McNeil?
McNeil's up at third.
Timing thing.
Oh, yeah, Kunos features, thank you.
I reckon he is ahead, though. Yeah, he's in P4. And he's battling out with Hobbsy, so McNeil has been able to overcut them all.
That's a great stuff from McNeil there, but I'll tell you what, he'd be sweating bullets now, though. He's got a very fast Mitch Hobbs behind him.
Oh, yes. But nice strategy there from McNeil as Hobbs around the outside gets it done nicely. So
Wow.
Hobbs now can set after Talbot for a possible podium as he just runs wide. So that opens the door again for McNeil, who wants to go around the outside. It's gonna be tight.
Strap in, brave pills time. Yeah, I didn't think he was going to be that brave.
No, you don't really want to try and go around the outside there. Not the easiest move to pull off. Well, you do have 20 minutes to go in this race. 20 minutes is a lot of time. Hobbs could still be on P3 here. Maybe even if he really puts the pedal to the metal, which is believe P2.
Hobbs is currently 1 second a lap faster than Talbot at this stage.
So it is a kind of that sort of situation, not if, when. Oh, what's
That is that
That
Liam?
could be a
that is that
What-
is that
what's
a
happening?
disconnect or just missed the brake pedal?
Oh, yeah.
That's the disconnect.
I have a feeling he has had either a major screen freeze or his wheel has just decided to go no.
Oh dear, that's a big F in chat. Here's Connor Hind, currently sitting there in 7th, chasing death.
Chasing death, that is
Out of that one.
not a sentence you want to hear very often, but in this sense, it is a positive for Connor Hind.
Now, can Connor Hind keep his rear tyres in check and not turn them into 50-cent pieces?
That is the question on our minds. Meanwhile, we have a battle further back between Marvel and Bracken. Bracken struggled a fair bit this race.
He has had a real struggle, hasn't he, down there in 19th? It's unbracken like.
Let's pray we don't see the Porsche do Porsche things.
Yes, or yeah, he's not having a fun time right now, but yeah. Meanwhile, in chat, JC makes a very good point. You don't really want to chase death, but it's better than having death chasing you.
So true.
Oh,
We've still
that-
got 2 cars yet to pit. Delio and Kranich still made a mandatory pit stop, and they've got 12 minutes left to go.
Yeah, Kranich is well renowned for making very late pit stops, but not really pushing death along here.
Which I think will put Spidey Scanlon in the lead of Pro-Am. How did that happen? Look at Connor Hind here. I'm just on board watching this.
Yeah, Spidey's just been very silently going about his work, and he will end up going into the lead of Pro-Am with Price, 5 seconds behind, so he's put in a good race today as Scanlon.
Let's see if Hind now can get through here without the classic Connor Hind. Oh, and there we go. Race control. Scanlon actually didn't send a quali lap. Started P23. That is
Wow.
a huge drive.
Yeah, what a drive! That is a brilliant effort from Spidey.
And that'll bring him up to position 12 after the 2 cars in front of him take their mandatory stops.
Yeah, well done. Just good consistency from Scanlon, and he's been able to reap the rewards of it.
And what it will do as well with Jesse McLean sort of down behind him as well, it's going to extend his Pro-Am Championship lead. So this is huge.
Yeah, big points. Every point is crucial in this one, especially considering we've only got the 1 round left before we get into the final series.
But the interesting point here is Hobbs, while has been able to put in some fast laps, has not been able to gain on that margin to Talbot. So he is 2.6 seconds back from 3rd position in 4th.
Got a feeling, though, just based on the lap times and that, could be one of those last lap moments.
Yeah, very much could. Talbot is just 3.1 behind Ignat right now. They are all closing up together. This could be a real good finish.
Here's McLean and Price battling here. This is for our second position in the Pro-Am. The two in front have stopped. Of course, just to reiterate, there. Get your driver of the day nominations in. Oh, we just saw that. That was Death and Hind. Dyson with Death there.
Yeah, you don't want to play with Death there. But Hind rightfully backed out of that. It wasn't going to end well otherwise.
And another interesting point here is Hignett has obviously had a bit of a trauma. He has dropped about a second and a half on his last lap, and is now 2.7 seconds for Talbot.
As Connor Hind, I was just to say, Connor Hind, he's going to try going the outside of turn one. That is bold, but he's going to try and set him up for a nice late dive. Shows the nose.
Isn't able to force a mistake on this occasion.
But we saw how good Sasha Death was last week in driving defensively.
Well, for the poll we got earlier, if you had to drive one of these circuits for an hour every day for a year, what are you picking? We had a draw between Donington Park and Brands Hatch. 36% each.
Probably a fair result.
I'd say. I think that's probably the right order to have things in.
I'll definitely agree with that. I mean, the fact that Silverstone's not there is a bit funny.
It's the inferior British tracks we're talking about.
And Herbert's had an absolute shocker and pulled a 150.1.
Oh.
Hello. What's happened there?
That traffic, is that... Doesn't look like there's much around him.
We'll see what the gaps are between Herbert and Hignett. Sitting, yeah, around 12.6 seconds, so he's still got time in the bank, but he does not want to pull any more of those 150s. Oh, yeah, it doesn't look like he had to go through much traffic.
Meanwhile, Talbot dropped a 46.4 that lap. Hobbs with a 45.8. He is flying.
Yeah, and they're all catching up to the driver in P2, Benjamin Hignett. We're in for a fantastic finish to this race, we are. On with Mitch Hobbs, who is now within 2 seconds of Talbot. You can see Talbot up ahead. Oh, but he's got loose. What a save.
Wow.
That's the save of the day for sure at this stage.
Yeah, wow, that was brilliant car control there from Mitch Hobbs.
And again, he's sliding it. Oh, Hobbs is on the ragged edge here. Love watching his stuff.
Hines still trying to find some way to find past Sasha Death, and has been at this for the past 6 laps.
Got in the slipstream again. Shows the nose again.
This is not a section of the track that you want to half commit. If you can't get up alongside the car, you're going to have to. Someone is going to have to yield. It's not somewhere where you want to go too wide.
No, that's for sure.
And the struggles of coming around this last corner, Karam, having to get on the brakes while the car is still not settled before you turn back into the last corner. Murray's.
Just saw a slight mistake there from Death as well. Ran a little wide, just caught a little bit too much of that grass creek. That's actually going to give Hind just a bit of a sniff.
And the pot is up for who is the driver of the day. Herbert, Scanlon, Morgan or Hignett.
Just a few notes. Scanlon, who is currently in P13, started in P23, while Morgan, who is currently in P9, started all the way back in P24. So,
Hard
some
to
great
see.
drives.
I did call Morgan's name earlier on. We were just saying, it looked like he was struggling a little bit, but he's definitely on the charge. Back to this battle. I mean, this is raging now. Look at the Hind again. Oversteer on exit. Oh no! Oh, come on, Connor, you let me down here.
This one's going to be very, very tight to the end. Hobbs has dropped. Hobbs has dropped behind McNeil.
Yes.
I reckon Hobbs has just pushed that Honda to its limits once more and has paid the price for it. Yeah, there he is. I reckon he's got a lot of damage.
Oh, he's clipped something hard there.
I reckon he's got a lot of right hand down, I think. Oh no, he's got left hand down, so yeah, he's done. That's Hobbsy done.
Yep.
This battle now becomes a battle for the final spot in the top 5. As Hind wants to go up the inside of turn 1, you're not going to get a move done there. But these two are tight. Death does know how to defend well though. Let's see what happened to Hobbs.
Oh, is this what I think it is? It is.
It's
Bang.
turn 1 again, and he's had to deal with that the whole lap. Oh, that is devastating. Absolutely devastating.
Just seems to catch that outside sort of painted concrete, and the Honda just doesn't seem to like that at all.
No.
And it's easy to get the car drift out there. That corner just seems to narrow right after you turn back onto the straight, and the car, because a little slight camber in the road allows the car to drift out, and then you have that fine line, as we saw earlier, turning the car back in down to the straight. You can easily get a little bit of overcorrection and drift the car out. So it's a double-edged sword.
Very much so. We have just about 7.5 minutes to go. Your order right now stands at Herbert, Hicknett, Talbot, McNeil, Death, Hind, Glover, Morgan, Herod, and Johnston your top 10, with Scanlon, Price, and McLean your Pro-Am top 3.
Hind, he's going to sniff a bit of an opportunity. There's a bit of lap traffic ahead of Death here. So this might give Hind just that little bit of impotence to fire it in there. Now it's really important here. Lap traffic, when does it pull out of the way? When? Well, that worked out okay. That's definitely worked out well for Hind though. So heading into turn 1 now. He gets a beautiful, it just catches maybe a little too much of that inside curb. And again, it just unsettles him.
And just those little mistakes.
There is a big dip.
Oh, Marvel.
Oh, that's sad. That is sadness.
Yes, I think Connor Hind had to deal with that big dip at the end of the concrete ripple strip on the inside coming through turn 1, and that was backed out of it to ensure that he didn't unsettle the car.
It's actually that curb at turn 1's one of the weirdest shaped curbs I've ever seen.
And there's 3 or 4 ripple strips on this track where you can't extend past the ripple strip. There is a big drop off or a dip at the end of the ripple strip, and it is not friendly for the car if you get your front tyre into it.
Hind got very close to the rear end of Death there. He does need to be patient. There's still 6 minutes to go. He can't make those mistakes, otherwise Death will hold on to that P5 position. Just gotta bide his time. He just has to be careful. He can't keep making those little errors. Just hold as close as he can to the back of the Aston Martin.
Death is definitely proving himself to be a bit of a brick wall.
Very much so. As that is
Morgan.
Josh Morgan. That's Josh Morgan off the track. Still in P8 though.
So now the question is, was that Audi things?
Yeah, I have a feeling it could have been Audi things.
I think Herbert would challenge you on that, taking the taking the Audi at the moment with a commanding lead.
Let's take a look. Oh, yep.
Audi things.
And into the wall. That is unfortunate.
Exactly, Diamond. 45% of the vote for Morgan Kirsty. And I think Hines running out of time here. Needs to make something happen.
Yeah, if he doesn't do anything soon, it's going to stay the way it is.
Sasser is just doing another outstanding drive, keeping that car on the apexes, keeping it straight and on the racing line. It was a real challenge for Hines to try and find a way around this Aston Martin.
Yeah, just not really making any mistakes, just keeping it clean, keeping it consistent. That's all they need to do is Hines gets loose on the exit there.
That's the Hind we all know and love.
And Sasha not breaking the track record here, running in the low 147s, but the consistency and making the back end of that Aston as wide as possible. That is what's challenging Hind at the moment in trying to find a way to get around.
That's the key to British circuits right there, consistency. Don't have to be the quickest, but if you can run a consistent pace the whole time, we've got a yellow flag on the main straight there. Looks like it's cleared itself. That's Mikey Cricks had a bit of a moment.
He'll let these two pass.
Do not mind looking at that McLaren though.
Oh yeah, he's struggling a bit now. It's Crick. So yeah, just moves to the inside, let these two past. Let's follow on with the drone.
Oh, this is great drone work. I feel like I need a bit of 90s punk, a bit of motocross sort of music going on with this.
But Hind is just trying to close that gap, but he's not able to find any way past.
And Scanlon has
Oh, that's
Herod.
Herod.
Thought he was going to hold on to that. Definitely. Oh, hang on. Yep, no, I thought he was going to do a real big boot then.
Managed to maintain it.
And my Regan Herbert this has been a class drive. 16 seconds to the good. Really has not put a foot wrong this whole race, and this is going to do his championship no harm whatsoever as well.
Yeah, he's in a great position to capitalise now. All he needs is just 2 more consistent laps and he will be home to take P1 here at Snetterton. Benjamin Hicknett has shown good consistency to this race. P2, it will be a great result for him.
And just looking at the standings, Herbert was 10 points behind Mitch Hobbs coming into this round. And with Hobbs having the issues and dropping all the way back to 16th place, this is certainly going to jump Regan up into second.
Yeah, this will be great for his season. Of course, we do have the 1 round left at Suzuka before we get into finals.
And of course, we do not have a drop round, so damage limitation is very important.
Certainly. Look at how close this battle is. Hind is really pushing the back of death now. He's just struggling a touch on these tyres. He might have just pushed them beyond its limits.
I just feel maybe it's his style as well. He likes a very oversteery car, Hind. He likes to sort of wiggle the bum. And this track certainly... Oh, he's made a huge error there.
Yep.
Just caught a little too much inside curb. And you can see what these curves do. Completely unsettles the car. And that is that battle done.
Yep, there won't be any coming back from that. I'll keep an eye on Herbert, who will be going on to the final lap now. What a drive this has been. Really, really solid stuff from Regan Herbert today. Been controlling the race all day.
Driver of the day poll is finished, and it is Joshua Morgan who takes drive of the day. My drive of the day in second is Scanlon, and Regan Herbert and Benjamin Hignett were the 4 that were nominated.
Yep, I'd say that Scanlon probably deserves the driver of the day. Of course, a lot of the votes came in before Morgan made his slight error. Of course, a lot of that was down to Audi things. But yeah, I think Scanlon currently in P10, driving up from P23, has had a very, very good race to take a Pro-Am victory at this stage.
And this will extend his championship lead in the Pro-Am class as well. He did have a 17-point lead over Jesse McLean, so that will be extended. So great drive there. Of course, running that beautiful Spidey Bird Ferrari.
Remember to keep your fuel tank and engine clean.
As we are on board with our race leader at the moment, Regan Herbert, he's on his final lap. This is a bit of a look at me. I have dominated this race, and he really has. He has not put a foot wrong. Beautiful driving, and he's really now lights his championship charge through the bomb hole for the last time. Drifts it out a little bit. Now through Coram. As soon as Hobbs sort of went away, he's just kept the nose clean, and this has been an absolute dominating performance from Regan Herbert, and he's going to go straight to the top of the podium with a huge drive, and he is happy about it as well. Great drive, Herbert.
Yeah, really well done there, Regan Herbert, taking your P1 for Split Yellow here at Snetterton for the Simrigs Sprint Series. Benjamin Hignett is going to come home with a brilliant P2. He'll be wrapped with that. And rounding out your podium, you have a great drive too from Jeremy Talbot in the Speedy Might Aston. Nicely done. Austin McNeil, welcome to the Pro class. P4 on Pro debut. That is brilliantly done. Sasha Death also getting a top 5, backing up their brilliant performance last week at Misano, holding off Connor Hind to the very end. Then you had Glover in P7, followed by Morgan, Herod, and then your Pro-Am winner. It is still up for grabs. Price has closed the gap a lot on Scanlon. It's about 0.6 of a second now, but I think Scanlon should be able to hold on given we are in the last sector of the race for them. So Scanlon should, he's gone very wide, but I don't think that will hurt him too much. He should hold on to the Pro-Am victory and the final spot in the top 10. Well done, Simon Scanlon.
Geez, that would have been sweaty palms there right at the end. As Jesse McLean will come home in 12th. Taylor there in 13th. Bracken in 14th. He's going to hold on to this.
That is Hamilton,
Yes.
who is P22.
Yep, so Bracken comes home in 14th. He'll be happy to pack up the Porsche and get the hell out of it. But that is it. That is round 4, Split Yellow, OOR, Simrigs.com Sprint Series run and done. We take a look at our leaderboard there. It is Herbert from Hignett, Talbot, McNeil, Death with my defensive driver of the day. Hind, Glover, Morgan, Herod, and Scanlon are your top 10. Moving on to Pro-Am was Scanlon from Price, McLean, Taylor, and Dilio. And in Am was Richardson from Robertson and Crick.
We congratulate all the drivers. That is the first national round in a series around Snetterton for OOR. And the time has been set as a benchmark. I believe it was a 1:45.4 in the race.
Looking forward to seeing what Split Green comes up with next. But yeah, what quick thoughts?
Yeah, was an interesting race. Not as much carnage as I was expecting, but there was some great battles, especially early on. Like the drivers really set it alight, especially that battle between Herod and Price. Oh, that was beautiful to watch.
Definitely battle of the race, and I did enjoy the battle between Hind and Death as well. It's just really great defensive driving. And what was more exciting, or what's great as well, we just didn't see a lot of penalties. We saw some really clean racing. I thought, yeah, all in all, a really great round.
And got away without the safety car. That is the key.
Hooray, no safety car. Yeah, other than, yeah, just like a few incidents towards the start of the race, it was a very clean race. I think a lot of the drivers knew that you had to be patient around here or else you weren't going to get to the end cleanly.
So, of course, we are coming up. We will have a split green. We'll have a whole new commentary team, so they'll be coming in soon. Actually, one of them's just popped in now. So it is first of all, thank you to Alexis, as always, and a massive thank you to Tim. Great stuff. Enjoyed that. And a big warm welcome to the one and only Damiano Circolini.
Thank you very much, Sean. Yes, and as I've been mentioned, Damiano here, willing to commentate, and my co-host, Neil Hines. Welcome, Neil.
Yeah, thanks, Damiano. I'm looking forward to this race around Snetterton.
Yeah, it's a tight circuit. I did some warm-up laps before I jumped into the commentary box here to see how awful it is, and yeah, I got caught out by a lot of the tight turns after the longer turns, so I still get my practice in. What about you? You done any practice on this circuit at all?
Oh, I haven't had much actual running around Snetterton, to be honest, on a set of Corsa. But I've done it obviously on other titles, so I do know the flow and the layout of the circuit.
Well, that's good. That'd be very handy for you. Qualifying's underway. Just ticked over 13 minutes left. We have slightly cloudy with 21 degrees ambient and 28 degrees track with no wind.
Yes, no breeze in those trees at all at the moment, and the drivers will be enjoying to get into some quick pace without worrying about any sort of cross breeze. It's a very open sort of field around here at Snetterton.
Yeah, it's been an ex-airfield from World War II with the bomb field still at the top of the circuit there. I'll just do a quick rundown of our championship. So Hasnam, who we have on screen now, is the teammate of Rialto Ristofani. He's car number 22 on 380 points. John Sonicus, car number 555 in the Aston Martin on 339 points. John Jacobs, number 25, also in the Aston OP, on 292 points. And we have a little bit of breaking news that Lewis Cugley is now Pro-Am. So,
congratulations to that man, Lewis.
Congratulations. So, leading on to the Pro-Ams, we have in 11th place overall, Flatty Malik, car number 168 in the BMW, 154 points. Lewis Cugley, new Pro-Am, car number 67 in the Aston Martin on 144 points. And Pete Viney in car number 118, BMW, on 120 points.
Yeah, and let's not forget the big mover was also from Mazzano last week. Was I've got a mental blank here. I did have his name here on my list here, but it was Daffer in the Honda who missed a round. He's up into 8th position now in the championship.
Big moves.
Yeah, just having a look to see if he's actually on the grid tonight. He is currently 12th in the qualifying order.
First laps are coming in. We have Ristofani on a 145.9. First guy in below 146s. Racking lap there. And we'll just quickly cover off the AMs. Ryan Stimson, car number 277 in the Mercedes. Yeah, you had to say that. 75 points. Greg Kilby, number 6 in the Mercedes, 56 points. And Dion Scarman, number 23 in the Aston Martin, 52 points.
Yeah, so a lot on offer tonight with the 1 hour sprint race format with the one mandatory stop, I believe, for tyres.
That's correct. Tyres and optional fuel. Tyres are mandatory, fuel is optional. But yeah, for the best bang for buck to get your circuit around, or your car around your circuit, pick a stint. Go long, go short, but yeah, 2 stints.
And I'm not 100% with the setting, so if they want to put fuel in, is that added to the time of the tyres, or is it a set time pit limit?
It's generally a set time pit limit. It's about 30 seconds for tyres and fuel. I think it was 30 seconds for tyres is the minimum as well, or the max, minimum, plus any damage that you take.
So most guys, you'd think, will probably sort of run a mid-tank sort of setup and get that free fueling while the tyres are getting changed, one would imagine.
That's the concept. Most of the fast, it's a varying type of fuel strategy. Some people do it on 20 minutes, half an hour, or 40 minutes seems to be the most common strategies, with about 35 minutes being that I've seen the most common one.
Yeah, so just 9 minutes to go, and we're just having a look at John Sonicus at the moment. As he said, it was second in the championship, currently in 20th position here without setting a time, so you'd think that he's actually on a flyer at the moment. A bit of a traffic in front of him.
I think he's pretty good there. You got a Cook in front of him, another pro teammate, or not pro teammate, another pro driver, so he should catch up to him too quickly. Oh, and we have Ard. I'm not sure what these short names on the drivers. ARD in the Honda just did a cracking 1 minute 45.5.
Yeah, that's the DAFA Ardianza that we so won the race last week at Mazzano for the Mini Enduro. Absolutely killed it in the Honda. And it looks like he's probably going to try and continue that form on here at Snetterton, and if he can, but we do know that Ristofani will obviously have something to say in that as well, as he is still chasing down, or trying to keep hold of the championship, I should say, in front of John Sonicus at the moment.
John goes through and sets a 4th best time. I'm double checking the name. Oh, that was John Pierre.
Currently watching Michael at the moment. See what he can do. Up into 6th position.
Sorry, I have no idea what I'm speaking about. It's Sean Jacobs in P4. Good job. So we have the top 4 drivers in sub 46s as Daffa pulls off a 45-1. Cugley on a hot lap, 0.7 up. How many positions is he going to make on this one? Quite a few. Good job.
It's good to see a few Lamborghinis in the top 10 as well. As we're looking currently at the car 164 Stefano.
Gap between P2 and P3 is 0.03 of a second.
Yeah, not much in it. Stefano actually finished 7th last week as well, leading the was the last of the pro drivers actually on the last lap as well. So there was only 7 drivers completing on the same lap.
It's a very fast pace from Massano. As Richie Uchi's made a bit of time. He's lost a bit of time in the last corner. He should get an improvement, but how much further up the grid will he get there? Makes 2 positions into P8, or 42.2.
Yeah, not a bad time, but as you said, he did lose a little bit of time in that final corner, Murray's. 12 corners around here at Snetterton, and that final corner can really catch you out, a really tight 90-degree corner, and it really tests you out as you're coming around the final sweeping right-hand corner before you've got to get on that brakes.
I just want to ask for a clarification here, Neil. You said 12 corners. I swear this afternoon it felt like 30.
Well, it could be, because you could be correcting yourself with a bit of opposite lock through some of these corners. But yeah, it does seem like a lot of corners around here.
Good Walker backing up into turn 1 and people on qualifying laps coming through. Looks like Rich Uti's got through without blocking anybody.
It's a track you really wouldn't think that traffic will really become an issue, especially during the race. It's a fairly open area of the circuit where they can let cars through. There's a lot of straight running areas of the circuit.
Yeah, that's one of the things I noticed as well. There's quite a few little straighty areas that if you need to let someone through, you can. As Valentini is on a very quick lap here.
Striking BMW.
Whoa, nice lap. Moves from 13th up into 6th for a sub 146 lap. He's keeping the pressure on and going on for another lap.
Yeah, he's doing good. He's a Pro-Am, I believe, in the black. Is that Pro-Am? Yes, it is Pro-Am.
That's right. Yes. Yeah, the marking on the top of the car would be with his number and name is blue. It's a bit hard to see if it's telephoto lens.
Yeah, that's right.
And welcome aboard, Mike Crick. You made it to the last 3 minutes of qualifying.
Hey gentlemen, how are we doing?
We're doing good. Some very fast times coming in here. We've got 6 cars in sub 146s. We'll talk about your race during the interchange between qualifying and the race. We'll just call this one. There's some nice times. Here we go. Malik is coming through, and he's from 13th to 12th. Not as big a jump as what he would hope for there.
It can be a difficult track to get that time on. You know, a couple of simple mistakes can really cost you a lot here, particularly if you muck up the exit onto the final straight there or onto the back straight. Those 2 corners there can be a bit tricky if you get the line wrong, and it can cost you a buck at a time really easily.
Yeah, the other one as well I find is this corner here. I think is turn 4 through here at Agostini. Can sometimes catch you out as well. Just diving in a little bit too deep.
We've got John Sonicus on a hot lap. He's coming up behind a slower driver, but the driver in front of him is not on a hot lap, so he may need to yield if John gets a bit close to him.
Looks like he's doing that.
So P2 and P3, Ristofani and Hasnam have not improved their time since the first couple of minutes of qualifying. So they're going to be pushing hard to try and catch up to Dafa, but they're half a second behind, so there's a lot of work to do for those two.
Yeah, Dafa's definitely got his Honda tuned up again here for Snetterton. You almost think some of these curves will be higher than the actual Honda itself.
It's submarining.
Honda's surprisingly good at taking curbs, considering it is a mid-engine car. The suspension on it is quite forgiving, so it doesn't hate curbs as much as some of the other mid-engine cars like the McLaren or the Audi do.
Here comes John, P4 on the grid so far. Not a good time. He's just slightly down on his delta, but he's still got a long way to go on his lap to go.
And he's aborted it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was that corner there. Agostini that was talking about turn 4 as well. Maybe just, I don't know if he missed his braking marker there, or if that was just him just actually deciding to call it quits.
Yeah, well, it can be, if you muck up the first sector, it can pretty much put a good lap out of it, so he might have just found that he didn't quite have the lap left in him.
Yeah, exactly. And Jacobs here, currently almost on his fastest time. See if he can get something through here at the back straight. And then he's actually up at the moment, but get a good run out of here and then through the bomb hole.
Yeah, taking a good amount of curb there.
It's Peel and towing through this corner on the brakes. The accelerator, he's a tiny bit up.
Oh, he cooked it just a little bit, just went a little bit wide on that curb, and yeah, got caught up there. Unfortunately, that lap.
Yeah, he was pretty close that he might have been able to get in front of John Sonicus, but it was very close.
Weatherburn's up on her sector. He was 0.3 up leading to the corner, but gone a bit wide. It's 0.1. It's going to be 0.1 over the line, and I think he did not make a place on that.
No,
Proved his time.
Weatherburn's gone up to 10th. That's still good. Yep, he was just a little bit up there, but yeah, that kind of shows very well how much time you can just lose in that one corner. It's a tricky one to get right.
Oh, looks like
Oh,
the
no.
Pro-Am is getting balked a little bit by the car in front.
It's all evens and fair and square. Both drivers on a hot lap.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate for Valentini. He's clearly got the extra pace, but not much he can do. You can't overtake both drivers on valid laps.
Yeah, it's a nice gentleman rule here at OOR as well. So the drivers can actually concentrate on their fast laps.
And last car to come in is Velasquez. Been practicing your name, mate. Velasquez.
Or known as Michael.
Well done to our grid. And it was JP with the better time, I think. Car number 44. Car number 44 is JP. Car 555 is John.
Correct. Now remember it for the entire race and don't get it wrong.
I've already forgotten.
So are they brothers, one would imagine?
Yes.
So, the grid we have Daffa, Ristofani, Hasnan, Sonicus and Jacobs. Our championship leaders at the moment is Ristofani, Sonicus and Jacobs. So Jacobs has dropped down, and by Sonicus I mean John in 555 and P7. So it's Ristofani who has the advantage in this race. Weather is cloudy, no wind. Track temperature is 28 degrees with an ambient of 21. For the Pro-Ams, we have Valentini, who is, I'm looking at,
Sixth.
Under 6th in the championship. I was just looking at the championship standings. Anyhow, Valentini
Apologies.
6th. Sorry, man. No one can read the words in my head. Then we have John Velasquez in 8th, Ricciuti and Weatherburn camping out the top 10.
Yeah, just to confirm, Valentini, he's actually 39th in the championship, as he's missed obviously a few rounds last of the Pro-Am, so...
Yeah, he'd be looking for a big result here. Hopefully he can squeeze himself up the list and get into the finals with 2 races to go.
So
the
full
top 10.
formation lap 8?
Yes. Any new liveries, Mr. Cameraman?
No.
Not that we're aware of? Okay. Let's go have a look around. So who wants to do the next 10?
We'll do the 10. Where are we? So we got Weatherburn in the number 24. Oh, no, not the 24. The Weatherburn there in the 219. And then Vintia in the 11. Malik in the 168. Kugley in the 13th. Kilby in the number 6. In the killer Kit Kat car. And then we've got the Miller, Vinny, Withers, Garman, Zickery, and Ross. And then Donaldi, Stimpson, and Hermer in position 23.
Cool. While we're on the formation lap, which is just about to start, just to reinforce the championship leaders. Aristofani, car number 22. John Sonicus, car 555. And Sean Ubbs in car number 25. In the Pro-Ams, we have Flatty Malik, car 168. Lewis Cugley in car number 67. And Pete Viney in car number 118. In the AMs, where we're taking the long view, and it is a globe, we have Ryan Stimpson in car number 277. Greg Kilby in car number 6. And the third one, Dion Scarman, car number 23. So on the grid, Miller in car number 29. He is position 29 in the championship. Yeah, P29, car number 29.
Nice.
So, like Neil was saying earlier, it's a 60-minute race with one mandatory pit stop for tyres. Fuel is optional. The pit window begins 5 minutes after the race start, and the pit window closes 5 minutes before the race ends.
It's an interesting looking grid right at the top. We've got all the usual suspects there, but it's hard to pick a winner here. I mean, Daffer's definitely got the outright pace and showed that last round, so you'd be pretty safe if you put a bet on Daffer to win, but the Honda is a little bit spicier than the BMWs here, so the BMWs following up behind are going to have a bit of an advantage in that they're just a little bit more stable over the curbs here.
Yeah, it probably shows with 4 BMWs in the top 10 after qualifying, and it looks a little bit misty out there too at Snetterton in the background, a bit hazy.
Yeah, looks like we got some cloud cover. Doesn't look like rain is likely, but it's something we'll have to keep an eye on. It was a bit like this last week, but we didn't get any moisture last week, so I think many of the drivers won't be praying for moisture today, given this is a track that not many people have heaps and heaps of practice on and aren't fully experienced with, so probably haven't done as much wet driving here as they have done at other tracks, so everyone probably hoping for a bit of a dry one here, I'd say.
Most definitely.
Yes, unlike Misano last week for some of us. Well, someone's gone off on the 2 cars have gone off at the back of the grid in the formation lap. I didn't recognise who they were. So they are going to have to fall back to the back of the grid before they start. So cars are in pairs now. Try and keep those gaps closed. We had a bit of issue. It'll be interesting as they get through the last turn. It's going to be very tight and people are going to work very hard to keep those gaps closed. So welcome to the Simrigs Sprint Series Round 4 Snetterton AP Split Yellow. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. Cars are forming up. The gaps are really close. Daff is keeping a close mark behind him, and so is Hasman's right close behind him. Getting very close to being a start here. Everyone's lining up good. Couples, very small gaps.
Green light. Go,
License green, and we are way. Daffer is leading at from into the first corner. Hasman has slid in behind Ristofani, and we've got JP sliding behind him. So far, everyone's got through the first corner quite convincingly. Couple of cars off the circuit, a little bit of dirt coming up. We have Valentini trying to go around the outside of Jacobs there. He's going to have a good run into the next corners. It's going to be inside left. Yeah, he's got him there. And we have one car at the back with yellow. Looks like everyone's starting to settle in. The leaders are settling into some good straight line racing, not pressing too hard, but keeping together. Another move a little bit further back. I think that's Weatherburn. Is going to have a move on Velasquez. So it's Aston on Aston, keeping away from the tyre wall there. Very, very good wheel job done there. And it's been a very ordinary, safe start so far.
Yeah, it's they've all been playing nicely, that's for sure, Damien. So we'll see how they go up through this top end of the circuit, though.
Yes, we've been advised not to try and do any overtaking moves. Looks like one's kicking off at the back of the field there, and BMW's pulled in behind. It's a smart move there. It's a long race. No need to crash your car on, not even lap 1 being.
Yeah, I can confirm that's not the best strategy at this race.
Coming into the last corner of the first lap, this is, I think, where we're going to see most of the action. If there's going to be any, people will be going a little bit offline and be having trouble getting into turn 1 and defending. So far, Daffer's actually pulled out a good lap there with Stefani, Hasman, John Sonicus, JP Sonicus, Valentini, Jacobs, and John Sonicus coming through. Richie Uti coming through, and Wittner and Velasquez making up the top 10.
Yeah, no big changes. No big changes in the order there. A couple of changes up the top 10. It looks like Velasquez has jumped up into P10. and has taken that from Weatherburn, who did start there. But otherwise, everybody just a couple of little position changes, but everyone's staying pretty in control. Yeah, that's it. Car number 44 is JP Sinikas. Currently up there in P4 and holding on to it well, only half a second behind, so not letting these two go. Definitely Hasnam probably going to play a bit of a team role here, I think, for Ristafani, a bit of a rear gunner, and probably trying to hold Page off for these opening laps at least to try and stop him gaining too much time on his teammate there. We've seen them do a little bit of team play. We saw that last week, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see that again this week.
Yes, and just in the beginning of the second lap, Kilby had gone off the circuit a little bit and dropped quite a few positions, and someone else in a yellowish car had gone off as well and lost a few positions there.
Yeah, but overall, everybody keeping it reasonably straight here. It's a difficult track for overtaking anybody on, so you kind of want to just fall into line, wait for mistakes, wait for someone to maybe take a little bit too much curve, get the tyre dropped on the dirt, hit one of those massive curves there at the final turn a little bit too hard. That's kind of what you're waiting for on this track, and then just trying to keep the pace up and maybe try to do just the overcut on people, which I think is probably the effective strategy at this track, is to go for a longer stint. But we'll see what everyone does with their pits this stint round.
Yeah, well, we're on board here with Jacobs. It's a big shout out to Valentini in front as well, the leading Pro-Am. I think he qualified and started in 7th, so he's made up 2 positions in the opening laps to find himself in 5th position. And yeah, it would be a good idea to hopefully we can keep an eye on Valentini throughout the night and see how he progresses, but definitely a great start for him.
As this little battle continues back here, these two going at it. They've been kind of going at it for lap 1. You got the outside line there, doesn't quite have it, tries to squeeze him out. He's not going to have the best run into this corner. He's got the pace, but very hard to try and do it overtake there, and Yoda smartly pulling out of it, but he's all over the back of Velasquez here. But some good defense there, and we even a little battle just a little bit further back with Cugley and Malik having a fight as well, so lots going down as we get a replay of what looks like the start of the race with these 3 cars going side by side very nicely there, that nobody suffered anything out of that so far. But these replays generally end in sadness, so I'm just, oh dear, what's happened there? Is he turned the engine off? Oh, not sure what happened there. Very unusual.
Looks like Velasquez has dropped a tyre in dirt or hit a curve a bit hard, and he's lost 3 places there.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Just as we were cutting away, it's just as we were complimenting him on his defense there, it looks like he's just made a little error, which, yeah, it's cost him quite a bit there. So Weatherburn taking advantage of that.
So at the beginning, here is the replay. He's coming in. He's gone. Yeah, he's gone wide. Yeah, he was being very cautious on missing the Kransky curve there, sausage curve. And he's gave it a little bit too much respect and gone wide and lost his 3 positions. That being said, Daffo has pulled out a 2-second gap, now stretching to 2.3 seconds. His second lap was over 1.5 seconds faster than second place. So very fast starting car. So he's solidifying his lead there on the first lap and doing a very good job.
Looked like Ryan Simpson there was just recovering from maybe a little off there as well in the Mercedes. Dropping a few positions from, I think it was in 18th down into 22nd now.
It looks like Dion Scarman's trying to stay in touch with the AM Class P podium positions. And he's got Withers behind him, the Pro-Am driver. He's going to be challenging to... Oh, Scarman's the blue car, sorry. I thought he was the blue and yellow car. He's the black and blue car. He's gone a bit wide there as well, keeping respect to the curbs here. They're very, very abrasive curbs, I found. Can really throw your car around.
Yeah, they sure can. So you can see they back up coming into the tighter hairpin.
Ooh. Bit of nastiness there. Thankfully everybody getting around that incident, but yeah, that'll be probably not looked on too fondly by the stewards, I'm sure.
Yeah, one wouldn't think that they would be really wanting to see that too often.
Business off. I think what's happening here, it's I suppose it's going to happen for a few drivers and maybe even a few more series races, is that drivers are not used to driving in traffic and racing hard. As Pete Viney goes sideways through turn 1, amazingly kept, keeps it straight, doesn't lose much time. He's found the fast way through turn 1. Unfortunately, turn 2's gone wide and is let through. No, Velasquez is keeping pace with him, cannot get past. Miller and Viney, I think, has kept his place.
Yeah, falling victim to the Aston there. I think just the lack of torque down in those lower gears. He just couldn't quite get the output speed that he needed there.
He would have also... Oh, and a lot of sadness. Still didn't hit a wall, which is very good.
Another final corner casualty. I think we're going to see a lot of that. I think you called that earlier, Damino, but we're going to see a lot of probably overtakes and that from cars making mistakes out of the final corner.
The battle between Cugley and Malik is looking very intense up forward. I can see the Malik is actually defending into a couple corners there.
Malik also the driver that took the Pro-Am win last week at Mazzano over Cameron Ross. Currently in 17th, I think Cameron is.
That was a close move there as the Aston went around the outside of the BMW.
Lots of close racing here, though. It's what I love about these British GT style tracks. As we see Dion Scarman unfortunately getting a 15-second penalty for that collision on lap 3, so that's going to be unfortunate. Those 15 seconds will cost you on this track. It's definitely not a track you want to have any loss of time, unfortunately.
Yes, it didn't look like anything malice in that move. It just looked like he got his timing a little bit wrong out the acceleration out of the corner. But that's what you've got to do, no contact. And another penalty. Denaldi. Ooh, this is looking very tight.
Very close there. That could have been a disaster. So a bit of a... I don't want to criticize the rejoin. I think the rejoin was okay, but just a really awkward position to be in and not quite having the space to back out, just ending up straight on the line there. So a bit of an unfortunate spot to have been in there.
Yeah, it's very tricky with that. Everyone deserves and is allowed to rejoin, and looks like you said, Mike, as safely as you possibly could on a tight circuit like this. It will always be challenging.
Yeah, it's always a hard situation, isn't it, when you find yourself rejoining and you know that you need to keep going a little bit, you're doubting yourself and you end up being on that landing in the apex with the faster cars coming through. But yeah, all you can really do is try and take a lot more of that curb to try and let those cars through without an incident, which he did, just as we saw.
I think we've got a plug in the bottle here of car number 44 with driver Jay Sonicus. His previous lap time was 147.5, and all the cars behind him are at least half a second faster as they catch up to him. Doesn't look like there's any damage to the car. It's just a new driver, or driver new to the circuit, trying to... Yeah, that's what I said, 44, JP. Almost.
Yeah, we're all onto it, JP. We know 44 is JP.
It would be really handy if they had a different paint scheme. Even with the different mirrors or different rear wing. It reminds me of endurance racing, was the Jota team, I think it was. Their cars were painted exactly the same. Commentators couldn't tell anything. So I wonder if that's where they got that idea from. So yes, so JP is, I believe, the slower of the group behind him.
Yeah, it looks that way at this stage, but they're not losing too much time as well from the other BMWs up the road as well. So see how this all pans out. But obviously we have got that Pro-Am of Valentini as well in between Jacobs and JP. And then JP's brother John, who are on board now, is obviously trying to see if he can manage to make a move on Jacobs, as there goes Valentini on the outside. Just careful with that rejoin, as we've seen before. Slots back in.
He did that pretty safely. I think Valentini's having a bit of a trouble. That's probably the third time I've seen him sort of go a little bit wide on different corners. So maybe something wrong in the setup, or maybe carrying a little bit of damage from something. But yeah, he just seemed to be struggling a little bit. And everybody around him just going to take advantage from that. So he has to be careful and sort of focus himself up. Otherwise, yeah, he could have a very miserable race.
Definitely the damage isn't too hard, so he can keep his doesn't understeer so much. Well, he's going for a move. He's looking. It's inside. There's a little bit of contact. He's going around, and John's gone around the outside. He's got the attraction down. He's going to have the first corner going through. He's got the inside line. Looks like they have not made contact going through, as John is pushing past Valentini and made the move stick.
Yeah,
Good racing there.
Exactly.
Yeah, not the best move there from Valentini. I think he would have been better off just following in line there and trying to stick with Jacobs ahead of him, because yeah, they're trying to go for that dive. I think that cost quite a bit of time there, and now he's lost another position, to John Sonicus, who's taking that easily, and it's again he's got no one to blame but himself there. So again, hopefully he can sort of focus up and calm those nerves a bit, because he's just making some basic errors at the moment. He wants to watch for that.
I think it's because one of the reasons that could be is he's running close. Oh, sideways there for was that
Malik, I believe. Yeah, it was Malik.
Yes, I think. Yeah, it was the Ross, I believe. Ross, yeah, Kilby's behind him in the killer car, so that would be Ross in the McLaren. And
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And you could vouch for that, can't you, Mike? McLaren's a bit of a handful sometimes.
At this track in particular, like the McLaren's pretty balanced car across the majority of circuits, but it's not the best here, as you can see they're taking way too much of that sausage curb, and that is just death for the McLaren. It doesn't recover very well from that, unfortunately. Some of the other cars can take that curb a bit better. None of them can take it well, that's for sure, but yeah, McLaren's in particular at this track, they definitely struggle. As we go back now, we've got Rashuti on the back of John now, right up behind him, so looking to grab this position. Valentini has actually gained that position back by the looks of it from John, who's now down back in 7th.
Yeah, I think John's had a little moment off the circuit because his lap time's half a second slower than Valentini, and both of them are 1.5 seconds slower than Jacobs.
Yeah, I think it was probably that previous lap, because as we know, he was in front of Valentini. So.
Oh, unfortunate. Sean Jacobs just see race control come through, jumping the start on lap 0.
Oh no, so that's going to cost him as well. He's currently also in the hunt in the championship, third in the championship as well. So he needs to get moving so we can wipe that 10 seconds out and have a good gap from the car behind him. But still a long way to go, 44 minutes remaining.
I think the getting to the line, this is the third driver, Dion Scarman, also jumping the start. That's 3 drivers now jumping the start. Must have been trying to close up, and that looks like 4 with Sayafik in number 7, 10-second penalty for jumping the start. Yeah, I think the drivers were trying to catch up to the pack after getting through the last corner and overcommitted and sped on start. Because the stewards, I understand, will look at the starts from pretty much everyone if they can, and you need to be consistently 80 kilometers an hour. If you go a little bit over and go back down underneath, you can probably get away with it, but depends where you go over.
Yeah, it did seem like they held for a long time too from the start too. They seem to have crossed the start-finish line and they're still going slow. So maybe that caught a few of the mid-pack drivers, thinking that maybe race would have been already go. But yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it, to get that 10 seconds?
Oh yes, especially when it's so easily avoidable. It's just I think it was just an error of judgment. No intent to actually get a jump start like I've been known to do at least once in rookies. But that extra 10 seconds gives 25 seconds extra to a pit stop of Dion Scarman. That's really going to hurt his championship standings there.
Got to remember too, this is an unfamiliar track for most of the drivers here. It's not something that gets raced very often. I think this is the first time we've raced it ever at OOR, if I'm not incorrect there. So every track has sort of a slightly different starting point, and not everyone's going to know that, so everyone's not really going to have a good idea in their head, good muscle memory for when to go for it at the start. So yeah, probably just a few people being caught out by just a bit of a lack of experience at this particular circuit.
And we just saw there come up from race control, Valentini copped a 10-second penalty for a little bit of contact on lap 4. So something that we missed at this stage through the commentary, but obviously a few penalties coming out, race control getting very serious.
Yes, there was a new directive that came out during the week. The rule is, unless you're going into a corner, the driver on the racing line has priority in the corner unless your front wheel is up at the A pillar, and then you can challenge each other to go side by side through the corner. So some drivers will be getting used to the new ruling there. The idea is to have close racing without any puntaroonies.
And that's how I think most people would like to see it as well. Some people invested a little bit of time during the week, obviously, to come to the race here on a Wednesday night. And, obviously would like to see fair racing at the same time. So it's, I think it's good ruling from OOR, and it's obviously, as you said, it's going to take drivers a little bit to get used to that when they've been used to maybe a bit more relaxed ruling, but it won't take long.
No, I hope not. It's everyone wants to race closely and cleanly. And with that being said, it's when you got a doubt to make a move, I think it's to erase that doubt. So if you have a doubt to make a move, you don't make a move. You know, keep racing. 2 corners later, you'll get your opportunity again, perhaps. First pit stopper is Dion Scarman. He's going in. He's going to have a long one. So he's came in with a bit of a bump there from Ross, I think it was, going through that corner. So yeah, the first of the pit stops. It was 18 minutes into the race.
Hey, Ross is really tested his suspension, isn't he, on that McLaren? I think you even mentioned, Mike, before that he was taking a little bit of too much of the sausage curb out of turn 9, and you can see that on our screen just a little while ago.
Yeah, just looking now, I think we've lost Valentini because he's dropped completely out of our leaderboard, so possibly a disconnection there, which would be unfortunate because despite that small penalty he had, it looks like he's had a problem there or something, because yeah, he's dropped straight out of the leaderboard, so unfortunate for him.
Yeah, that's no good.
But yeah, you're not wrong there on the McLaren, and a lot of the more downforce focused mid-engine kind of cars, they can be quick here. It's not like they haven't got the ability to go fast, but they do definitely struggle a little bit here. The car's just a little bit too heavy, a little bit too slow in some of these corners, and it really can't take advantage of the curbs quite as much as something like the Mercedes that we're seeing in front of them now can, and that does create a bit of a problem for getting the best pace out of that car. But it is strong through a few sections, so you can definitely make moves. You know, it's particularly strong in the bomb hole section because it's got all that downforce, so it hangs onto that big banked corner quite nicely.
Yeah, most definitely. Now, you mentioned too, Mike, earlier that a lot of leagues don't seem to run Snetterton that much in their series. Is there anything in your mind why they may not run that to the track? Me personally, I actually do like this track. I think it's a fun, challenging track, and it always does bring some good racing. But obviously, some leagues, it's sort of like a forgotten track over one of the British circuits in the game.
Yeah, I think most of that comes from it being not really the best track for GT3 cars. It's a little bit too tight. The curbs are a little bit too unforgiving, even to cars like the Aston Martin that we're looking at here, which are traditionally reasonably good at handling. So it doesn't have a great BOP balance in that way. It's quite technical. It can be a little bit hard to go door to door. I'm with you. I quite like it. I think it's a very underrated track, but I can definitely understand why it's not one of the more popular ones. But it's definitely not a track that I'd hate to keep seeing again. I think it's got a lot of good potential, and it's really engaging and fun to drive around. So I do hope we see it again. But I'm sure that'll be an unpopular opinion.
Yeah, definitely. You just definitely can't let your mind wander, that's for sure, because you will find yourself out in the grass fairly quickly.
Yeah, and I think it also comes back to familiarity. It's like it's something you haven't done often on a race circuit, particularly. You don't learn the nuances of the circuit, and so you don't like it because you don't know how to do it, and you've got to spend time with it. And there's so many circuits in the game. Why waste your precious entertainment time on something that may not be suitable to your enjoyment? That being said, with OR doing this, it's almost like a level playing field. You get to see who's actually really, really quick and who can learn fast, and also who's actually spent the time in learning.
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
Definitely, 100%. As all there is another McLaren running wide.
Yep.
It's a blue flag letting him through because the positions for P4 and P5 are coming through. So good job staying out of the way. Really awkward positioning, unfortunately.
I think one driver that's obviously spent some time in the practice room is Daffa, out in front by almost 6 seconds at this stage too. So doing an outstanding job out front. Look at now Ben Vinita in chasing down the Tic Tac car. Probably one of my favourite liveries. I actually like the look of whoever's done that livery. It's very nice.
Going from moving to turn 1, Wittner is going through. Can he make it? Don't push too wide. Plenty of racing room. It's going to be a bump there for Viney, and they get through cleanly.
Yeah, nice move. Set up from the exit out of the final corner. One would think there as we were on board, and nice move.
Yeah, great clean overtake there. Just caught the BMW a bit off guard. Used the little extra pace of the Lamborghini, and just did a nice clean move. Everyone giving each other the right amount of room. Nobody doing anything particularly silly, and just a nice clean overtake there. And wouldn't count Viney out though. Hopefully he's still got a bit in the tank to make a comeback, or perhaps try pitting a bit earlier, doing an undercut, something like that to get that position back.
Also noticed probably about, I didn't mention this at the time, 15 minutes ago, the cloud cover is starting to disperse and the sun is coming out. So the track is slowly warming up.
Yeah, it definitely looks like the rain dances haven't worked this week, but again, I don't think anybody on circuit's going to be complaining too much about that.
Exactly, Mike. I don't think, as you said, I think Damio was saying earlier, I don't think any of the drivers would have been too pleased to see if a little bit of rain did fall, because it's not a circuit, as we all been just discussing, that not many people have spent much time on. And the slick track would not be fun around here.
When the lead into Jacobs has gone into the pits.
I believe that's the first of our leaders to pit, so going for, it's quite an early sort of pit stop, considering probably doesn't have much damage or anything like that. So it'll be interesting to see what the strategy pays out here. Generally, the train of thought is that you probably want to go for an overcut on this track, so I'd be interested to see. Maybe he felt being held up or something like that there as to why he's pitted a bit early, but we'll have to see if it pays off for him.
I'm also noticing John Sonicus is missing a couple of apexes here. Rich Uti is actually putting a lot of pressure on him to make him go faster.
Yeah, Stefano's actually doing a great job in the Lamborghini, and that's why I think John, as you were saying, probably has been missing a few of the apexes, just that presence of the Lamborghini behind him.
John's a pretty cool customer, and I think he'll be all right here, and he'll manage the pressure okay in that Aston. It's great. We've got both the Syndicate boys in 4th and 5th, so that's not going to get confusing later down the line when they change positions from pit stops.
That's exactly right. I think we're just looking at the numbers, Mike. 44.
That's the way.
5.
That's all I can do. It's just the numbers.
Otherwise, we're going to get a yellow blip from race control again.
Yes. Well, that was directed at me on close on. Yes, John goes into the pits.
Okay, so it's the second of our leaders to jump into the pits, and I think only the third person overall to do a pit stop so far. So again, it's very early, so I'm interested to see how this pans out for both John and Jacobs, and hopefully they don't sort of get caught up in traffic too much. But they both got pace, so they should be able to do some laps on their own, and maybe they've just seen that they're going to come out in reasonably clear traffic, which it actually looks like John looks to come out in a pretty nice little spot, so if you can take advantage of the clean air, you might be able to get some good pace down.
Pete Viney pits. He was right on the tail of Miller there with the AM driver who qualified 15th, now currently running in 10. So he's looking for an undercut here with less than half, not even half the race being done.
Yeah, we're going to start to see more of these drivers come in, I think, in the next couple of minutes, about the halfway mark. I think that's in my split where most of the drivers tended to pit who didn't have damage or weren't going for a bit of a longer run. So it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out in these laps. But Daffer's absolutely caning it up here at the front. Doesn't look like anyone's going to catch him at this stage. It'll be interesting to see what strategy he goes for when he pits. He's under sort of no pressure to pit at any particular time. He's got a reasonable gap there. And Ristofani is reasonably close behind, but not so close that he's a real threat to him on track at this stage. But again, I wouldn't, if I was Ristofani, I probably wouldn't be thinking about an undercut or anything like that. I'd be sticking with Daffer for as long as possible and try for an overcut if I possibly could.
Yeah, I think that's all Ristofani can really hope for, that Daffer may get the pit a little bit, well, not get the pit wrong, but as he comes out, he may get out in some bit of traffic which may hold him up. So could be looking at that track map to see where they may pop out. Very hard to do while you're on the fly as well when you're trying to think where there is a little bit of a gap. It could cost Daffer if he comes right in the middle of a little fight somewhere.
As JP and Weatherburn make a pit, and as we also watch Sisvik race behind Cook with only 0.1 of a second, but a 10-second penalty for this Sisvik.
Bit of a snap there for him as well. Thankfully he managed to hold on to the back of Cook here. But yeah, typical Honda snap there. And he's definitely looks like he's, I wouldn't say frustrated, but he looks to have a bit more of the pace on Cook, but he just can't get behind the big fat Lexus in front of him. Lexus, pretty good car for defense. It's not particularly wide.
Just quickly, the leaders coming up behind these two. It's going to be interesting how they handle the blue flag situation.
Yeah, will we see Daffer actually take the opportunity in? No, he's going to probably start.
Ooh, what was that about? Oh no, that's not how you do it. Big F for Cook there. That was, I don't know what the thought was there. I think perhaps didn't think Cook was pitting, followed in, and that you hate to see something like that. Big F for Cook there. Unfortunate to be caught up in that.
Yeah, definitely. You never want to see that. Obviously, the driver behind has obviously missed his braking marker, tried to avoid, but bumped back off the tyre barriers right into Cook, I think it was. So, yeah, that's not good at all.
I got caught in a similar situation at Watkins Glen, and I found out that the driver in front had enabled the pit limiter well early before my braking point. So it's maybe it was Sciafic being called out where he was still accelerating for his the pit line, but the driver in front had already started slowing down. So the delta was too big, even though he would have been good for the pit line entry.
So race control was just put in a group chat there to find out for everyone to start discussing as a group what's the one of the worst corners on a circuit. I wonder if we'll get one of the corners here from Snetterton. Maybe that corner, the last corner here, Murray's turn 12, may get a little mention. Or even Nelson turn 9 at the end of the back straight.
I think we can all have our opinions here. I'm going to go with, very traditionally, I'm going to go with, I mean, it's a complex, it's not exactly a single corner, so I hope that still applies, but I'm going to pick Spa, and I'm going to go with Rouge Radion, because I think that corner's massively overrated. It's a silly corner for GT3 cars, and we should get rid of it.
Replay of the pit entry. Has this come in? Yeah, that's what's happened. The driver in front had entered the pit limiter early, unfortunately.
Yeah, but he's entitled to do that. you're not obligated. I mean, yeah, he slowed down more than he expected there. Maybe he wasn't expecting the pit stop, but you've got to be aware of a driver going to pit in front of you there. So, yeah, sorry, I got no sympathy there for that. That's you've got to be more careful than that.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Like, it's just one of those things. So the onus will be on the driver behind there, but getting back to these corners, I reckon I'll put the one out at Catalunya, the chicane before the final corner. I just really don't like that corner. So, and I do notice that the Formula One circus as well, for the they're talking about removing that chicane.
Well, it's official. They have removed that, which I'm just
have?
ecstatic about. Yeah, they're not going to. I don't know this year if it's going to be this year or if it's next year, but it's definitely a thing where they're not going to use that. Which, can we please make that a thing for everything? Because yeah, I agree. That's a pretty rubbish chicane there.
And just before, positions 2, 3, and 4 have made a pit stop. Mr. Funny has man, and Jude, I think, had made a pit stop. So I'm not sure if anyone's going to be swapping positions on the exit there.
Yeah, we'll soon see. Leading the way still, Daffer, Hardy and Sia. I think he's, I can't quite see the name, it's a bit blurry on my screen, but 18 laps in. There he is, car 34, coming out of the final corner. And in he comes.
Here we go. It'll be interesting to see if he gets this pit stop right. This will be an important pit stop for him. Make sure he doesn't lose that position. I think he's pretty safe. But as always, you could always forget to stop the engine or not quite line the car up properly. There's always the potential to make a mistake there. So we'll see how it goes. But he looks pretty safe based on where he is.
And you also have speeding on the entry and speeding on the exit. So there's a lot of pressure in a pit stop. So for me, my worst corner, Alton Park, I think it's the first chicane in the beginning of sector 2. We start going up the hill. There's a really hard curve in that chicane area. Hit it, and it throws my car off circuit every time. I hate it, man.
Blatantly incorrect. Alton Park is a perfect circuit and there's nothing wrong with it.
There you go. So it must be that little left-hand little corner of that chicane you're talking about maybe.
Yeah, says you, Mike. Says you.
Yeah, you couldn't be more wrong there. Alton Park is absolutely an amazing track and everyone should drive it all the time.
Yeah,
okay.
Classic track, definitely.
I know which one Mole doesn't like. Turn 1 at Kailan.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's not a real turn.
That's right.
It's not an actual turn.
Oh, you just...
It's a kink. There was a lot of discussion whether it was oh, here we go. Stop go 30. Wow, that's a yep. Don't do that anymore, anybody, and don't touch cars going into the pits.
That's harsh, but you've got to cut down on that kind of thing. You can't be accepting that. Like poor Cook there, sure he was across the line and off the track when he put his pit limiter on, so it's fair game there. He wasn't trying to do anything silly. He was just trying to play it safe. He didn't want to speed into the pits. He's more than entitled to do that. And as the driver following, it's on you to be paying attention to that. So, yeah, it's a harsh one, but I think it's hard to argue with it.
I just hope, too, the driver takes it in his stride, too, and lesson learned as well. Because you got to learn from these things. And obviously, as you said, the penalties need to be there. You can't shy upon it. You don't want to see that creeping in throughout a series.
Well, I'm going to defend Sciafic here because it's actually happened to me in the example that I had. You're closing up, you're at race speed, and it's like someone turning an engine off in front of you or doing a brake test. We all know that some people, I am included in this, love attacking the pit entry line. Some people don't. I don't know who those people are, which means I need to respect the distance. When I had my contact, it was a tap on the back, and it was also many seasons ago. I got the 5-second penalty. I didn't like it, but I accepted it and I said, okay, I made the contact. Next thing I could have done better is to try and go around like Sci-Fec tried to do. Unfortunately, he had no room. So I think he did the best he could in the situation that he had. I have a lot of sympathy for him. But as you guys are saying, driver behind is fully responsible. I'm just saying, I have some sympathy for the guy.
So it looks like that the order for the lead as well. Daffer's actually come out obviously in front of Ristofani, and Ristofani's actually made a little bit of time up because he's only 5 seconds now behind Daffer, which when they went into the pits they were close to 7 seconds. So he's obviously made a bit of... Oh, that's close as well on exit of turn 2.
Nasty place to be caught out as a blue flag there. Thankfully, no hits on there, but yeah, that was a rough position to be in.
Ristofani's last lap was a 46 flat. He's screaming he wants this win.
He's not leading the championship for no reason though, Ristofani, so obviously he wants to try and see if he can get on top of Daffer, because Daffer sort of showed him up a little bit there at Mazzano last week. And obviously Ristofani, sorry, we won't want to see it 2 weeks in a row. Should be an entertaining last 20 minutes, guys.
Be interesting to see where Velasquez ends up, because he's still yet to pit, so he's done 20 laps. Easily possible on a set of tyres in the Aston Martin. Currently leading, but obviously still has to make a pit stop. He won't come back out in the lead, but it'll be interesting to see where he kind of slots in that group, hoping to obviously get some clean air and make up some time. But he's about to hit a bit of traffic, so I can't imagine him staying out for much longer than he has.
Yeah, and Daffer's just coming out of that turn 2 hairpin as well, so he's not too far behind.
And new fastest lap for Daffer, 1 minute 46.07, where Ristofani has done a 45.8. So, no, my mistake, Ristofani's fastest lap is a 45.8. Not the fastest lap of the race, which is with Daffer, but Daffer's last lap was 3/10 of a second slower than Ristofani, as his tyres are getting under temperature.
So the leading AM driver, are we, with the red? The leading AM driver of Miller.
That's right.
He's been having a good race so far, you know, in 14th at the moment. Yeah, he's been having a very good drive. Been keeping a little bit of an eye on him, but he's held this sort of top position pretty well. He's been hanging on the back of these pros and pro-ams, so credit to him. He's doing well in his class and he's doing well overall.
Absolutely. He's qualified 15th, and he's maintained his position and made one to 14th, and keeping in touch with the drivers in front of him. Even the 2 cars in front of him, Malik, who's no slouch, and Wittner, also no slouch. He's 2 seconds behind in total on those 2 drivers.
Yeah, he'd be enjoying this experience as well, knocking on the doors of the pro and also pro-am of Malik in front. So obviously gaining a lot of experience on the way as well, and that's what it's all about. Running these all the different level of drivers together really builds your racecraft.
Yeah, it can be a really great learning experience just following someone like Vincent there, who's got a lot of experience quite quick. Not doing as well as potentially he normally would in this race, maybe having a bit more trouble with the track, but still a driver that you could probably learn a lot from, just watching their lines, how they approach corners, when they're braking and all those sorts of things. So yeah, good experience for Miller, and doing really well. It's still only a second behind, so good effort there.
You're not wrong about that one, Mike. I remember one race in Hungary. For one lap, I was following some faster guys, and magically I got an extra half a second out of that lap. I couldn't repeat it. Once they started pulling away from me, I couldn't repeat the lap time. But as Viney here is leading the pack behind him of Malik and Vintner, which means Miller is also keeping in touch. So if any mistakes here, there's going to be quite a few position changes, because they're all very close together.
Yeah, it's good to see even in this late stage of the race, we still got some of these little battle packs going on, cars still following closely. Everyone's separated a little bit more than they were at the start, where everyone was reasonably close together, but you still can't really make a mistake. You still got to be on your toes here, as Malik's getting right up in the back of Colby's grill there. Really following Viney, sorry. All the way around that hairpin, and yeah, looking to challenge both BMWs, so should be fairly evenly matched in terms of pace, and it's really going to be about who takes the track best at this point.
Yeah,
Well,
Peter
happening.
Viney, as we know from last week too, he had a dismal race there at Mazzano. He was out in the grass a lot and had a few accidents, so out there being able to challenge with Malik. Very good job with the Tic Tac car.
Yes. While all that was happening, Dapper has passed Velasquez for first position without a pit stop.
Yeah, I think Velasquez is just going for a very long run here at this stage. Still hanging in there. I'd say maybe he's doing the last 15 minutes, wants to do a big fast splash and dash, looking for an open piece of track to try and gain some more time here. It's very strongly overcut here at this track, so he could end up gaining a position or two out of it, but we'll just have to see how much pace he can put down.
A very wide Aston Martin there in the background, but yeah, we maybe get a comeback out around the in the top 15 somewhere. Velasquez, I'd say.
I'd say better than that, maybe P12. P12 is 62 seconds behind the leader at the moment, and which is an extra 2.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a very short pit stop here, but he'll pit entry and pit exit, so definitely on the cards to do the bender strat and leave it to the last 2 laps. Remember, 5 minutes from the end is when the pit window closes. As Vintner gets really close behind Malik, both cars accelerating really well out of turn 2.
Yeah, Malik in a tough spot here. Just sandwiched between 2 other cars here, both with pace, so he's got to try and focus on obviously attacking Viney ahead of him, but he's got Vintner right on his back as well, and Miller still not too far behind Vintner as well, so they've all got to sort of be a bit aware, although we are seeing it looks like Miller's just falling off the back a bit, maybe just consolidating that position and not wanting to get too involved as these Pro-Am drivers all battle it out for the top spot in their respective championship.
Miller was only 1 second behind the group when he had his little off, and looking at the timing screen here, he only dropped 2.5 seconds in his little off, so it actually lines up that he's still in touch and he hasn't lost his pace, excluding his little off there.
Yeah, you think if Vinny's sort of holding these guys up a little bit, it won't be too long, and Miller may get back onto the back of these guys to be able to challenge later in the race as well. So it should be interesting, maybe a 4-car battle for the 12th position.
Yeah, and Velasquez might be exiting the pits right in the middle of this group. Yeah, he's only just pitted.
Oh yeah, he's coming down the order, so as they come onto the straight, we may see him exit pit lane very shortly.
He's moving. He's on the exit line. It's going to be very tight. This is going to be a very messy turn 1.
Cutting across there, he's not taking any chances. Very nice move there. So he's managed to move himself into P10, which is a pretty good result, and I think that long run has sort of paid off for him. He's got to hold on to it though. He's going to have pretty fresh tyres there, but he'll be running a lot less fuel, most likely, than some of these other guys, depending on how safe he's gone with his fuel run. We'll just have to see how he runs.
I think he may cop a 10-second penalty on exit as well, because unless that's a mistake on the screen there, but definitely a 10-second penalty on his name.
That's it. Yep. No, that should be most likely be what that would be for. He must have sped on either entry or exit, probably pushing too hard. It's very unfortunate. I'm sure race control will confirm that for us, what that penalty is, but that's a real shame.
Yeah, because I didn't see, because Andy just left the pit, so it must have been very quick to change it from a 30 to a 10. So it might be for something else that might pop through. Race control, can we get a clarification on that, if we may?
So either way, though, you'd think that with the fresher tyres now, with 14 minutes to go, oh, sorry, but yeah, so not using the gamepad, but definitely he should be able to probably extend that gap to the 10 seconds, because there's no other cars in front of him. Kugeley is in front, but about 15 seconds up the road. So he can really treat these last 14 minutes as a qualifying session, basically, and try and gap the cars behind him, as it looks like Vintia has a run, but he's going to be on the outside. It's going to be tricky, boys.
Yeah, the outside's not the best line here. Malik's gonna have the advantage going into turn 1 as they come very close together. No touching, push it. He's not giving Malik much space there, but he's wisely kind of backed out of it, letting Malik resume the racing line. I would have thought he'd go for a cutback. Oh, as he's Malik, I think, being a bit too adventurous there, has either been caught out by Viney there, not going a little slower than he expected maybe, or he just went in too hot, focused maybe too much behind, and it's actually cost him that position. So a bit of a sad entry there, as we get confirmation that it was 10 seconds before
Oh, what a
speeding
shame.
on the pit entry. And Malik
And
going wide again.
Driving very hard here. Missing some of his apexes. A lot of busy movements going on. It's going slightly. No, he's kept it there. A slight change of the car.
So how do you?
You're saying?
I was going to say, how do you guys feel when you get out on the marbles on the dirty line of the track, especially at this stage of the track of a race after about 40 minutes of running? Do you find that it does take a few corners to sort of get that grip level back, or do you normally find that you can sort of go hard straight away again?
Oh, I'm too slow to tell.
That's why I'm asking, because I'm not one of the fast drivers either. Just thinking, like, some of these fast drivers seem to just be able to get on it straight away, but I normally find it usually takes me half a lap at least to gather my thoughts again.
I mean, Damiano and I are career AM drivers at this stage, so we're both sort of on that same pace, but you do definitely feel it towards the end of the race. You do have a little bit of a lack of grip, even if you've got fresh tyres, which everybody would, because there's no point not changing tyres. I mean, sorry, you do have to change tyres.
It's having a move on Viney in turn 1.
Ooh, so we get a great camera angle there, but we're back to it. But not quite doing it. Viney's doing a really good job of holding this position here. He's definitely not quite on the pace of the guys behind, but because it's this three-way battle, he's able to sort of just put the car in the right places, just take a very defensive stance. It doesn't look like he's really pushing to jump into that top 10 too much. He's just trying to hold on to P11 here, and he's doing a really good job of making the two behind him fight for everything behind, and potentially causing himself more strife.
Yeah, and this battle is actually slowing down their race pace. They're over a second off their pace now.
Yeah, it's just all giving Velasquez heaps of an advantage here. Yeah, Drone Cam is having some issues tonight.
Yeah, that's
For
it.
first race, it was doing really good. You need to zoom in. I think you need to zoom in. Or have you zoomed in? You zoom out. Go left.
I was just
Right,
going to also
no.
mention about Miller, who we saw on the Aston Martin. We were hoping they could maybe jump on the back of this battle pack as well, but he's obviously losing ground as well in position 14th. The leader of all of the AMs doing a good job in 14th. I think we said that he started in 15th and still currently holding the 14th position.
So there was something going on there. As Pete Viney had gone wide, and I think he went to miss the sausage curb and went extremely wide and lost 2 positions.
Yeah, he did. He went too wide on that. And yeah, unfortunately, he's lost both those positions. So that defense just not being able to maintain it, unfortunately, it only takes one little mistake like that. Unfortunately, having a few technical difficulties, and that's why we've got the white screen at the moment. So we will have to watch the race from the camera 2 perspective for now, but deal with it. We'll try and give you as much information as we can from this tiny little screen.
As it goes away on us.
Okay, this is
It's all right, just watch the track
Foxtel.
map.
Hey!
There we go.
Good job, we're back. Tic-tac-car. Hooray!
Yes, that's right. So good to see that we're back with the live action again with Vinny in 13th after the 2 cars in front have finally got the better of him.
Yeah, just that one little mistake has cost him, and that's all it really takes when you're racing that close and you've been defending that hard, and the guys behind you do have that extra bit of pace. There's only so long you can hold on sometimes, and look, he held on for a really long time there, so credit to him. It's just, yeah, you just can't make those tiny little mistakes.
Yes, he'll get a position back when Velasquez will take his penalty, but he's also still close up to the guys in front if he doesn't keep driving off the circuit to catch up.
So the penalty, the 10 seconds, that's just at the end of the race timer, is it? That it gets started? He doesn't have to come into the pits and serve that?
That's correct. So any time that you have before your pit stop gets added to your pit stop, and if in this situation there's no more pit stops in the race, it gets added to your race time.
Yeah, thanks for clearing that up. So he has been, Velasquez has been slowly extending the gap on Vintia. So we will see, he's almost taken it out to a 5-second gap. So he's done that in only within the last 4 minutes, really. So he's still got 8 minutes remaining, I think. I can't quite see the timer on my screen, but
Yeah, I think that's
about
right.
8 minutes. remaining. So he's got a chance to sort of try and extend it out to that 10 seconds. And if he does that, just looking at Vinti has actually just got a 10-second penalty as well up on the screen.
Yeah, so it's Viney's got a good chance to actually make some really easy positions, as well as Malik. Malik stays in this position now, he'll finish in the top 10. Good driving.
We're looking at Kilby here as our P2 in AM, and he's challenging Zikri as a Pro-Am at the moment, so look, an interesting battle going on there. He's only about half a tenth behind, and yeah, it could be would be really good for him to jump up into 15th. That'd be a good result for the AM driver.
Yes, and Zikri last season was an AM driver, so he's had a recent promotion as well.
So good
Yeah, a couple of drivers here have now, everybody's sort of been sorted out. Everyone's pretty much in the correct class now, and which is good to see. So we're kind of seeing the battles as they are. Yeah, we've got both cameras back up now. Good work there by the gremlins at the OLR studios. Well done to you guys for getting that feedback up.
So Demario Hasnam in third position. He's going along quite nicely. Currently fifth in the standings in the championship too. So this could pop him up actually into fourth position with this run in this race, as he's only 10 points behind Ali Karodin, who I'm not too sure is actually here tonight in the Porsche.
Yeah, we don't have Ali tonight, so it definitely looks like he'll definitely drop potentially a position there. I can't remember the exact point standings, but I think he should get that. But we've got to post our nominations for the driver of the day. It's that time. We've only got 6 minutes left until the end, so jump your driver of the day. It's a hard one to pick, honestly. There's been a lot of good drives going on here. I mean, obviously Daffer has just commanded the entire race, and Ristofani's done a great job there in P2, has held on to that position well. Hasnam also doing well, both the Sonokai. So everybody in that top 10 has been doing a pretty good job and has taken advantage and not had too many mistakes or errors. And yeah, it's hard to pick one. I'd have to think on mine for a bit.
For me, I reckon it's either going to be a roadshow display of excellent driving by Daffer, or Miller, the AM driver, showing how to maintain your pace and keep your composure. That is an excellent drive from both of them for very different reasons, but two very good reasons.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say Miller has been doing a great job there in 14th. But I think Daffer is my choice. He actually just dominated from qualifying right through the race. Got his pit stop done perfectly. Had a little challenge with Ristofani sort of closing that gap, but he's just kept a level head right through the race. It's not easy to keep that up sometimes when you're up front, because you are being chased, but he's obviously got that experience and he's doing really well.
He's only got a 6-second lead, so if he gets a bad blue flag or hits a curb inadvertently, unlikely, but that 6 seconds is going to go away very, very fast. The gap to third place is 18 seconds. The two leaders are lapping at roughly the same time at 1 minute 46.5, and then from P3 down, doing 47 flats, then there's a little gap to 47.5s, and then 47s again. And Weatherburn just did a minute 49 lap while he's racing with Cugley, who also did a 48 lap.
Yeah, well, just looking at Sean Jacobs as well, getting onto doing a good battle with Sonicus. So he's just sort of closing the gap there within 4 minutes remaining. And can we see this mellow yellow car in the top 5 and break the brothers' domination in 4 and 5?
Certainly possible. It's all Aston, so it's all going to be very evenly paced depending on how worn tyres are and particular setups, and then individual drivers' strengths in each particular corners.
Especially late in the race too, you start getting a little bit doughy, so definitely, as I said, this track can really catch you out if you lose that concentration, so it's going to come down to basically that, I think.
Some notes from race control in chat. We have Ristofani, Daffer, Ristofani, Cugley, who started P13, and John Sonicus in car 555.
Yeah, we remember John did actually have a poor qualifying session as well, so he's actually done well there up in 5th position.
Yeah, I was just looking at that and who's sort of made the most gains and stuff, and yeah, John has definitely gained quite a lot of positions to get into that spot there. So very good drive from John here. Exactly what you'd expect from him, though. Very experienced, very quick driver, and both him and his brother are a force to be reckoned with, especially when they're paired up like this in the same split.
I'm not sure if they're racing in the same room or not, but there will either be encouragement or interesting banter between the two of them. One of them, I remember, was having daddy duties as well as puppy duties to look after a new dog. Labrador, I believe.
That'd be a challenge.
Yeah, they don't share the same room, but they do share the same team speak.
I think it's that was
Jacobs.
very sideways. Sorry about
Yeah.
that, Mike. That
No, yeah, that's very easy to do there. You carry a lot of speed coming into that chicane, especially if you're trying to obviously chase someone down. You're trying to keep every tenth that you can on the person ahead of you. It's very easy to sort of lose the rear end a bit there, especially as the tires get a little bit worn and you've got not a lot of fuel left in the tank. So everybody's kind of doing qualifying runs at the moment. It'd be interesting to see if Jacobs can catch John here, but I don't know. If I'm putting money down, I think I put it on John to hold on to 5th.
Yeah, we saw in a previous race in Split Yellow, where a faster driver was caught behind a slower. I'm not sure which the drivers were, because I was not focusing fully on that race, but the commentary that I heard was the driver in front definitely slower, but just kept it on the black line, and just the driver behind could not get past. And it's like you're saying, Mike, British club tracks, very narrow, very hard to pass on. And
Yeah, exactly. You can really rely a lot on making the car a bit wide, being defensive in a track like this, and kind of throwing off your opponents that way, because it's just, yeah, you're really looking for a mistake, and I haven't seen too many from John so far.
Yeah, he just seems to be keeping his car a lot straighter than Sean at the moment. Sean's really wrestling this Aston of his, the mellow yellow car. But definitely doing a good job trying to keep that pressure on John.
I think there's a position swap coming for Kilby and Zickery. Still in that timing screen.
Nothing in it either, but the cameraman's obviously focusing on this battle here for 5th, but it'll be interesting to see that position for 15th, 16th between Kilby and Zickery. As they'll be getting onto their final lap.
So the leader passed the line with 40 seconds to go, so this will be the, definitely last lap.
We're in the closing stages now. The only real position change, I think, is Zickery and Kilby at the back there. Everybody else is pretty well spread apart. Jacobs could still make a move on John if he makes a mistake, but I think he's got that in the bag. And everyone doing very well to hold on to their spots here, and I think everybody's done quite well. We've had a couple of little incidents, couple of moments, shall we say, with people not quite having their heads in it, but it happens to the best of us. Absolutely, you can't judge people just on one incident. Everyone makes mistakes, so that's why we've got penalties, and hopefully everybody learns from them.
Yes, I think we got more penalties for speeding at the start than what there was for any contact.
That's right, yeah, the break of the formation, but looks like we're getting to the end of the race here, guys, with the leader.
Yep, Daffa coming around the final corner now, confidently, absolutely dominating the race, comes across for what should be a nice victory and a good bag of points for Daffa. Well earned, well deserved, just dominated from the get-go. Ristofani behind, followed closely almost the entire race, kept pace with him, just didn't quite have that extra little bit to make any moves happen, as we see Hasanam now coming in 3rd place and finishing up the top 3.
And here's JP in the 40. Oh no, the cameraman's got us there. The 555 quickly changed for John as the battle comes down to the wire down the starting straight, but looks like John has got the better of Sean Jacobs there. And it looks like Sean's happy with that result as well, as he should be.
I'll be happy to have had a good battle like that. It's always good to have something like that. Weatherburn coming in 8th position, done very well actually. A bit of a silent race for him, but managed to gain a few positions there and finished quite strongly. Cugley taking out the Pro-Ams here in 9th position, did a very good race, started P13 I think, so good race from him as well.
As he collects the bollard.
And there we go, he's our YouTube driver of the day, Lewis Cugley, and I think well earned there.
Yeah, congratulations.
And Velasquez pulling in for a P10 before the penalty, as well as Wittner.
Oh, there you go.
P11 as he crosses the line. We're looking at Kilby at the moment, chasing down Zikri. Can Zikri keep the momentum going and not go off in the last dangerous corner as the cars in front of him, Malik has finished. Zikri goes through the corner, makes a little bit of a slide there, but he keeps it straight as he goes and crosses the line in 15th place, pending penalties as Kilby gets in behind him. I thought that was an excellent race.
Yeah, absolutely. Well done to everybody. Yeah, as I said earlier, just a good run. Let's have a look at our overall standings. We've got Daffer in 1st, Ristofani in 2nd, Hasnam in 3rd. We've got JP Sanikas in 4th and John Sanikas in 5th, with Sean Jacobs in 6th, Rashidi 7th, Weatherburn 8th, Colby in 9th, and then Malik in 10th. Damiano, do the Pro-Am.
Pro-Am class, we have Cugley, driver of the day in the Pro-Am winner, and Flatty Malik in P2, Pete Viney in P3, Zikri, Withers, Donaldi, Sayafik, Ross, and Valentini.
And then in the AMs, we got Miller taking that out with a nice run. And then Kilby in 2nd, Stimpson in 3rd, Scarman in 4th, and Hermer coming up the rear.
Great racing, everybody. That was an excellent little couple of battles we had here. Good action, couple of incidents, bit of drama and controversy. Always a good race here at OLR on a Wednesday night. Don't forget, we've obviously got more sprint races to come. We've got racing tomorrow, and then we've also got our EU splits and NA splits on Friday in Australian time. And yeah, be sure to check those out. And obviously, don't forget to check out our amazing sponsors, Simrigs, and all the good work they do for us. They help make this sort of stuff possible. So be sure to check them out. They're great people, great service. So absolutely a fantastic sponsor to have on board. Gentlemen, it's been great.
Yes, Mike. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you, Mike. Excellent calling. And I'm Damien.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Neil, checking out. Thank you, Mike and Damien. It has been a great race.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next time.